Seeing that it's 6:30, we're going to open the meeting. We're going to open the meeting of the 2025 Annual Town Meeting. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody could please rise, face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. All right, I'm going to ask the town clerk if she has a quorum, and we can certify we have a quorum.
Yes, we do.
Okay, my name is Bert Gaynor, and what I want to do is just make a quick introduction to the people to my right and left. We have the selectmen to my left at the end, Tom Pratt, Jonathan Seelig, John Bruno, our town administrator, Cody Haddad, town council, Rich Huxham, and our town clerk, Sue Wallace. And this is everybody from the Finance Committee. Just wave. Okay, just a couple of quick things I want to go over beforehand. For our town meeting, like we've been doing, we are following the rules governing town meeting by the Town Meeting Times. It's a handbook of parliamentary law. We are going to be determining the vote to make it simple so everyone could see it. Green card is yes, red card is no. If nobody or somebody doesn't have a red and a green card, please go out and get one or get them. All right, what else have we got? Oh, just a little protocol how we're going to run the meeting. If you have a question, a comment, or would like to find out an answer, put a hold. If you could, if you want to speak to the town meeting, you raise your hand. I will call on you. You can come up to the microphones. You need to give your name and address. If there are people in the audience that have trouble walking up or whatnot, I got two great volunteers right here in the front. We got Maddie and Megan. If need be, they'll take a mic and bring it to you if you need that. Okay. I think we're good. Just to start out our town meeting, I'd like to ask the town for a moment of silence for Mr. Josh Curtis, who passed away saving children. And if I could, please just ask for a moment of silence. Definition of a hero, if we ever had one. Moving right on, maybe I'd like to recognize the couple of people who are retiring from a whole lengthy service and giving an awful lot of their time and effort. Jean Gallant, our librarian. I don't know if she's here. Jean. Thanks, Jean. Thank you very much. And of course, Mr. Bruno, who's retiring, John Bruno. Thanks, John.
Are they applauding because they're glad I'm retiring, or are they congratulating me?
That's why everyone was clapping, John. Yes. Okay, another explanation on how we're going to go through and hit all the articles. As we have in the past, we have a lottery system, so they're not going to be taken right in order. The town clerk will roll the bingo cage, and we'll hit the articles as they are selected.
Except for 1 through 3.
Yes, articles 1 through 30.
3, but 1 through 3. 1 through 3 are not by lottery, though. Just
Oh,
let them know.
you're right.
Yeah.
Articles 1, 2, and 3 are not in the lottery. We're gonna do them first because we've always done the budget-wise that way. Okay, one other thing, on Articles 7 through 11 in your book, those Articles 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 are going to be passed over. If I could get a motion?
Yes,
Do the motion to dispense the reading of the warrant
Yes,
first.
I'll do that first. That's a good idea. The first thing before we get into that, I need a motion to dispense with the reading of the warrant.
So moved.
second.
I have a motion and a second to dispense with the reading of the warrant. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Motion carries. I'll also entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the constable's return.
So moved, right?
Yeah. Mr. Moderator, I would move that the town pass over.
We're still dispensing the constable's return.
Oh, waiving the constable's detained. Yes, so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to dispense with the reading of the constable's return. All those in favor, please raise your green card. And all those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes unanimously. Okay, now we'll go into the Articles 7 through 11 in your book.
Okay. Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
I would move the town pass over Articles 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Can I have any discussion?
Yes, Amy Troop, 10 Hillside Ave. Can I have an explanation on each street on why we're passing over, please?
Certainly.
So,
Mr. Bruno?
Mr. Moderator, the articles are street acceptances on streets that have been in existence for quite a while. The process for street acceptance has procedures that have to be followed before it can get to town meeting, at which time you can vote on it. The paperwork wasn't done exactly correctly, and so these are not appropriately in front of town meeting at this time.
Yes.
Mr. Moderator, Article 11, I'm sorry, is that the, yep, Article 11 for Riders Way was motioned by the planning board to go to the selectmen back in January? Okay, December or January, you might remember, Bart. And it is actually a bond that was done, and it was approved by PR Engineering. So why is this one not going forward?
Let me check on that.
The
Mr.
question is, why are we not going forward?
Yes.
I explained that. The street acceptances have to be done in a certain procedure through state law. The procedure wasn't correctly followed, so therefore these articles are not properly before town meeting. I don't know whether a bond has anything to do with it, but the street acceptance procedure is state law, and we have to follow that, and we're just not in the right position to do it for this meeting. They'll come back again in the next meeting.
Okay, because I was just curious because there's one that's different than the four others, so that's why.
Whatever.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to pass over Articles 7 through 11. All those in favor of passing over 7 through 11, please raise your your green card. I'll be all right.
Come on, Bert.
All those opposed, please raise your red card. Motion passes to pass over. All right, let's move on then to Article 1.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes,
I would move Article 1 as, I would move that the town vote to amend the wage and personnel bylaw as presented in Article 1 of the warrant.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. We're going to open this for discussion or an explanation. Just so you know what I plan to do with Article 1, I'm going to take them individually. We're going to go A, and then B, and then C, as opposed to doing it all in one shot. So, Mr. Bruno, would you like to
Yes, thank you, Mr. Moderator. So we are proposing 3 changes as part of Article 1. The first is a 2.5 cost of living increase. I'm sorry, 2% cost of living increase for all non-union positions. 2% is in line with the town's collective bargaining agreements, which the majority of the town employees are now a part of. This cost of living adjustment will affect a small number of employees, to be specific, a total of 18 positions. The cost is approximately $21,000. You may recall the town meeting did not approve a cost of living for non-union employees last year, so it is critical that this is approved to keep the town in line with comparable communities and to be able to recruit and retain quality staff. The second change is moving the veteran service officer from a stipend position to grade 6 position. The reason for this is the need to have a veteran service officer on 20 hours a week. In order for a veteran service officer to be credited by the state and submit claims on behalf of veterans, there is a 20-hour week requirement. The current stipend only compensates for approximately 12 hours per week, so the position could not be accredited in Halifax and unable to submit the claims. The last proposed amendment is to update the bylaw and replace it with language in your warrant. This simplifies the bylaw. Previously, there was a Wage and Personnel Committee that was several years ago reconstituted to be a joint committee of the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen. We're now proposing that the Board of Selectmen act as the Personnel Board. Having the Board of Selectmen and Finance Committee has been a challenge, as it has 10 members that must meet and do not regularly have meetings. That would be our explanation.
Okay, thank you. Let's go with Article 1A. Are there any questions? Any discussion? Seeing no indication, we're going to vote on Article 1A. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Article 1A passes. Move on to Article 1B. Remove the Veteran Services Officer from a stipend position to a grade 6. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes. Article 1C, replace the current wage and personnel bylaw. All those in favor of Article 1C, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Article 1C passes. Okay, we'll move on to Article 2, proposed by the Finance Committee.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to set the salaries of several elected town officers for July 1, 2025 to June 30 of 2026 as printed in the warrant.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. This was the Finance Committee recommendation.
Yes, Finance Committee recommends.
Would you care to speak to this, Mr. Walters?
Absolutely, sir. This is an annual article that is required to set the salaries of elected officials. The moderator, Board of Selectmen, and assessor's salary are all level funded. The full-time positions all have recommended increases. The town clerk is being placed at step 1 of the grade where the position should be graded. During the initial implementation of the reclass, the town clerk was erroneously placed to an incorrect grade. The town treasurer collector's wage represents an increase to the next closest step in the scale. The highway surveyor requested to not be included and only asked for a 2% increase. As a note, the highway surveyor also is the cemetery superintendent, which receives an additional $12,000 a year for that role.
Any questions or comments in regards to Article 2? Seeing no indication, there's a motion and a second for Article 2. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Article 2 passes. Moving on to Article 3. Again, proposed by the Finance Committee. Mr. Walters?
Yes, Finance Committee recommends, and I move that the town approve Article 3 with one amended line. I move to amend line 130 to $160,000 under the funding note. The $25,000 from the PEG Access retained earnings should be $0, and the PEG Access Fund revenue should state $160,000. This will also change the total operating revenue to $31,051,728.
Second.
Yes.
I just
Somebody-
second it.
So there's a motion and a second to accept Article 3s with those changes, amended changes. Seeing no indication of questions,
This is just the amendment. Just the amendment, Bert. Just the amendment.
oh, I'm sorry, we're voting on just the amendment. So there's a motion and a second for the amendment for the totals. Question, yes.
Do they not have microphones to bring to it?
Micro, do you need a mic?
They don't have one.
Do they not?
They don't have extras.
Sorry,
They
I was
grab in and bring it.
looking for lines.
Your name and address, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Allison Long, 186 Monpont Street in Halifax.
And could you get close to the mic? Yes, thank you.
Hello? Woo! Okay, got it now. Allison Long, 186 Monpont Street. I was going from where we were, looking for line 130 or 131, I think, were the two that you were saying there were changes. So it took me too long to get to those things, to write them down. So if there's something that is not directly the next thing, could you give us a moment to find where you are?
Sure. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe line 130 is on page 17, if that helps you out in your booklet.
Yeah, I have it now, but
Oh,
it was too late,
okay.
so I didn't catch any of the numbers at all. So it's okay. I imagine they're probably fine, but hereafter I would like to know instead of guess.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and second to amend Article 3. All those in favor, please raise your green cards. All those opposed, please raise your red cards. Passes for the amendment. All right, now we'll go directly to Article 3. Mr. Walters, proposed by the Finance Committee. Do I have a motion on the amended Article 3?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept Article 3 as amended. Mr. Walters, would you like to address this?
So these are the figures for the town operating budget for fiscal year 26, starting July 1st, going through June 30th of 2026.
Mr. Moderator, I do have a presentation.
Oh, yes, Mr. Cody, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Haddad.
So I just want to give a brief overview of the budget, the fiscal year 26 budget, and the process. If you aren't able to hear me or if you want to follow along, it is on the screen up there as well. The budget process kicked off in October of this year with the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen having a kickoff meeting. Priorities for the upcoming year were identified, and a budget memorandum was sent out to all town departments. Within that budget memorandum, town departments were asked to create two budgets. One was a level service budget. It was keeping service levels the same and whatever that cost would be. And then all departments were also asked to create another budget that was a 10% reduction from their fiscal year 25 budget. Budgets were due in December. In January, myself, the Finance Committee liaisons, and the town accountant met with each department head to review their requests and their reduced budget. Large departments such as police, fire, and highway presented to the full Finance Committee. The Finance Committee then had a meeting with the Board of Selectmen to discuss the budget challenges that the town was facing and possible solutions. At that meeting, the Finance Committee voted to recommend utilizing free cash to balance the budget. And we also held 2 budget forums in April and May of this year to review the budget line by line and provide an explanation of how we got to this, where we are. Just our general operating revenues, you can see 65% of our budget comes from the tax levy, about a little less than 9% comes from our local receipts, 15.49% from state aid. We have our enterprise funds, which is our solid waste, our water, and our cable access television. We have excluded debt. We have some other items, and then the free cash, which is supplementing the budget this year. Expenditures. You can see this is broken down by the different categories. So town departments makes up about 26.43% of the budget and is an $83,000 increase from last year. Insurance and benefits for both the elementary school and the town make up a $263,737,000 increase and represents 12.61% of our budget. We have our enterprise funds, as I had mentioned before. Halifax Elementary School is an increase of $793,675. That makes up a little over 24% of our budget. Silver Lake's assessment is an increase of $455,530. That makes up 27.36% of the budget. We have other, that includes things like our overlay and tax title, and then we have our debt. A few key budget factors going into the year. State aid, so Chapter 70 is what we call the state aid from the state regarding education. In the governor's budget, it's only a 1.14% increase from last year, or about $40,000. Our new growth in town is significantly down. You can see what growth has been over the last few years, averaging in that $150,000 range, plus or minus. And this year, in my most recent conversations with our assessor, we're going to be at around $75,000 in new growth. Again, I mentioned this previously, but the cost of education is 8.6% when you combine the total cost, and that's broken down 11.63 for Halifax Elementary and 5.6 for Silver Lake. And then our fixed costs that we really have no control over, our assessment to Plymouth County Retirement is almost an 8% increase, and our health insurance cost is an 8% increase. I mentioned that the board has recommended using free cash. This is basically our excess revenue that comes in to fund the operating budget. The Department of Revenue does not recommend doing this. The board, along with the Finance Committee, did decide to do this, ultimately as a buffer year, recognizing that next year the town will likely need to go for a Proposition 2.5 override. We do rely on free cash to fund our capital items. So by using that free cash for the operating budget, there are items such as the ambulance that we were not able to purchase this year, that we're pushing down the road, that we will need to replace a police cruiser and repairs to the blacksmith shop. And on top of all these measures that I mentioned, there's been a few other things that we've taken. So even with the budget as presented tonight, there will be reductions in staffing in the administration / selectman office, the building maintenance department, and in the library. We've reduced expense accounts in the fire department, Board of Health, Council on Aging, and the library. And Halifax Elementary School has made several reductions to staffing and in their expense budgets in order to present a balanced budget this year. And that is my presentation, Mr. Moderator.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments regarding the presentation? Yes, please.
Karen Favor, 66 Clyde Bosworth Road.
Just go close to the mic. Yeah. Thank you.
Karen Favor, 66 Clyde Bosworth Road. My question is, are we going to go through each section of Article 3 versus just a blanket Article 3? We always do that.
We're going to go through it.
Okay, thank you.
Section.
Bert, over here.
Yes, sir. Ma'am, I didn't see you over there, Debbie. Sorry. You can take it right out, Debbie, if you like.
Hi, Deb Tinkham, 88 Paradise Lane. I'm having a little hard time understanding all of the numbers, and When I went through the book the last few days, I noticed there's been some increases to some of the department managers. We're taking free cash. Everybody's cutting back and are being told to cut back, but there are certain people who are not taking a hit. I don't see this as being level funded. And if we're having to gut the school, then I don't understand what we're doing here at all.
Let me see if I can find out an answer.
Thank you.
Mr. Coda, can you address that, or actually, Deb, too, what we're going to do, we are going to go line by line. If there is a hold on certain lines and you want to discuss it, we can do that. Just yell out hold, and we'll go back and see if I can find out answers to your
Hold.
questions. Okay, let's start out with, I'm starting out on page 10, by the way. Since the first section has 44 lines in it, I'm going to break it down like 10 or 15 at a time. So if there's any questions, comments, or anything else you'd like to find out, please yell out hold, and we'll go back to it and address that issue. Okay, first one, moderator salary, $200. Line 2, selectman's salary, $4,500. Town administrator salary, $174,721. Hold. Line 4, selectman clerical, $80,179. Selectman expenses, $4,400. Line number 6, law, $165,000. Line 7, town hall electricity, $21,500. 8, town meeting warrants, $6,000. Line 9, audit, $34,500. Line 10, the finance committee clerical, did I skip one? $5,522. Finance committee expenses, $350. Town accountant, line 12, salary is $84,550. Line 13, accountant clerical, $48,000. Line 14, accountant expenses, $1,970. I'm going to They put a hold on.
Number 6 had a hold too. 3 and 6.
6 is law.
Yep.
Oh, it does?
Sorry, thank you. I missed that. Okay, what we're going to do, I'll take a motion to accept in the general government section 1 through lines 14 with a hold on 3 and a hold on 6. Do I have a motion for that?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. So we're voting on the first section of general government, lines 1 through 14, without line 3 and without line 6. All those in favor of that, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes. Now we'll go back and do the hold. Line number 3, town administrator's salary, $174,721. Whoever made the hold, yes, sir. Please come up and approach the mic. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Karen Fava, 66 Clyde Bosworth Road. Where we have our town administrator has given his resignation, shouldn't we have that figure be lower than what this is so that we can actually do a negotiation factor with, a new person coming in? It doesn't have to be that high. I think that it should be lowered.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes, sir.
So the town administrator's position will be replaced, and there has to be some funding in order to hire somebody new. If we don't have a line item funded in that salary, we can't spend money that the town meeting hasn't appropriated. As far as the amount, When we did the contract the last time, we looked at different towns. It's really within a line of what we can expect as far as demands for salary. So, you know, you could reduce it, but then we probably will have a very difficult time getting quality candidates. The last time we went through this, that's one of the things that the consultant advised us about. And again, we have to have it funded, otherwise we can't hire somebody new.
Okay, I agree that we need to fund it. I just don't agree with the amount that's here. The contract that we had previously, the majority of the townspeople were against. We didn't have any say in the negotiations, and we were very upset, majority of the people, as to the amount that was funded and some of the items that were in that negotiations. So in my opinion, I think that we should cut this back to $150,000.
Well,
You made a motion to amend it to $150,000.
so, Mrs. Favor, you're making a motion to amend it to 150,000? Okay, and a second on that motion? Okay, I have a motion and a second. Finance Committee recommendation?
Finance Committee does not recommend the amendment.
Board of Selectmen?
We don't recommend it for the same reasons we just discussed. Honestly, folks, the wage rate that we're dealing with now, if you do the study, you'll see that it's not more than we can expect. Again, yes, it's an expensive position. Yes, it's a very important position. However, we've got to face reality that there are costs that are associated with everything. This is one of those costs. So I think if we're at the 150 mark, would we be able to hire someone new? Maybe. I think the quality of candidates will go down, though.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
Can I please see a show of hands?
Your name and address, please.
Sorry, Amy Troop, 10 Hillside Ave. Can I please see a show of hands on which Finance Committee people are against it, please? And maybe an explanation of why.
Mr. Walters?
Everybody who's not in favor of the amendment? Not in favor.
It's unanimous.
Mr.
That they
Moderator.
were not.
If I may.
Yes, sir.
I think one good way to think about this, you know, on line item 6, and I know we're not there yet, the $165,000 limit isn't a mandate to spend $165,000 on line item 6. I'm sorry, 165,000.
Yeah.
That's a suggested budget. So the way I would view line item 3 is that's the line item budget, $174,721. If we don't have it available, we're pigeonholed into whatever amount we vote on. My suggestion would be similar to line item 6, leave the amount available, let the candidates come and negotiate the contract from there based on merit and or applicant. If we go down to 150, that's the limit that we're suggesting. It doesn't mean we have to spend it in totality. It means it's available to spend to settle on a new town administrator. If it's not available in the pot, we cross some people off the list. That would be my fear in lowering the amount.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
So my response to that is you will spend it if it's there. We have no say because you're going to negotiate the contract. And this wasn't just a salary. This was 5 weeks vacation, 3 weeks sick pay, plus holidays, plus a cell phone, plus a laptop. I can go on and on and on, okay? And this is not, we can get someone in this position for less money. $174,721 is not reasonable in the town of Halifax.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir. Your name and address, please.
Steve McFawn, 47 Indian Path Road. My only problem is, so this went from, I believe, about a $96,000 position to about $160,000. And last year, we were told by the select board that we don't give him this money, and this great candidate we have in front of you isn't going to stay. So we all voted, we gave him the money, and he's leaving. So why?
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Your name and address.
Gordon Laws, 33 Highland Circle. Cody, was this your first town administrator job? You were an assistant beforehand?
Sir, we can't get personal. We're discussing the budget in the item.
Hold on. Okay.
No, that's what we're going to do.
The fact that Cody is leaving makes the point of the budget discussion. You got a first-time town administrator who got a better deal elsewhere. The experience level of what you're going to get is going to be in proportion to what you pay for it. So you have all of these people who spend tons and tons of time staring at salaries and wages and everything like that, and looking at markets and talking to the consultants and everything like that, a finance board who is as fiscally conservative as they could possibly be, that have had to come in and meet with over and over and over and over again over school budgets and everything like that, who is saying, we do not recommend lowering it. It is a lot of money. It sounds like a lot of money. It is a big position. You are not going to get experienced, really high quality people. You are going to get people who are going to take an interim deal for a time and then are going to move on. And in fact, the 174 is probably low, which is why there's a better deal out for our town administrator.
Thank you.
The amendment's 150.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Van Donnelly, 201 Cranberry Drive. I just want to speak to the fact that, I mean, I hire engineers out of school that isn't that price, okay? And electrical engineers. And I would just say at this point here that the salary is high for that role. And one of the things I wanted to point out too is that I think we should have an issue here where we don't negotiate a huge severance package to somebody that comes in here and leaves. Right? That shouldn't be part of this job, because I don't know nobody's getting that. And I think that's more in the point to try to keep me there, but it didn't work. So I think at the end of the day, this salary is way too high for that position starting 1 year when we can get somebody in from a college or university that can work with us and learn into those roles. I mean, if we're looking for a politician, we can let somebody do it. We don't need that. Okay, we need somebody that can help out here internally, and I would recommend we look at some of the kids are getting out of some of the schools and bring them in for a lesser salary than this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Moderator, could I speak?
Yes, Mr. Seeley.
Just to touch on some background information. I know the previous salary of $95,000 for the town administrator was brought up. That was our first town administrator who had been here for 20-something years, who was literally one of the lowest paid town administrators in the state of Massachusetts, and was quite frankly giving us a hometown discount for a long, long time. So that will explain a jump. That will explain the jump there.
Please, could you
Please, let me speak.
Please, thank you.
So I've only been selectman 3 years. I've seen 4 town administrators in those 3 years. And each time we went out to search, we went with a low number, right? We went with a low number saying, we're a smaller town, we don't have all this money. And I'll be honest with you, the best one we found, we had one that lasted 6 weeks. We had one that was filling in that, well, I don't want to speak poorly. You know, we had folks that were in over their heads, I'll be quite frank. And I'll be honest, the best town administrator we had in those 3 years before we got Cody was our interim town administrator, Sandy Nolan. So here's the deal with this. I don't want to spend extra money, but I don't want to handcuff the town. And I disagree that because you allot this money that we're automatically going to spend it. I think that's the wrong way to look at it. But we can't keep going with the lowest common denominator and hoping that we get lucky. I will say we got very lucky with Cody. He steered us great in these 2 years. He's fantastic. He really is. He really is. So I just be careful that we don't cut off our nose to spite our face on this salary line. Again, like Tom said, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to spend to that, but if we have a home run candidate that's done the job, that's good, that's proven, then I'd hate to turn them away because we can't take a swing.
And the other thing, just to piggyback on that, if you get a candidate, if we lower the amount and take the candidate who's the lowest dollar amount through the door, what's to say that they're just using Halifax as a stepping stone to get the experience and then move? I'd rather pay somebody commensurate with their experience who wants to be in Halifax, who intends to stay. Lowballing them just to solve a potential solution is not a good idea.
Yes, sir.
Mel Conroy, 7 Birch Road. I know the Finance Committee utilizes 8 towns that we use as comparison towns. Do we have both the average and the mean that they utilize for this line item in their towns?
Do you have that?
Yes, Mr. Cody?
No, we don't have that figure available. It was utilized when the Board of Selectmen negotiated the contract. This figure is simply the contracted wage for fiscal 26 under the current town administrator contract.
Do we have their comps for 2025?
Yeah, all the comps were done as part of the negotiations with the Board of Selectmen.
Are those numbers available to us as residents?
What's the question?
Are they available to the residents?
You can, yeah, all town administrator contracts are public. You can certainly look those up and see what those are.
Knowing the sensitivity of this particular line item, I think the Finance Committee probably took this into consideration. I know I would have. Do they have those numbers available as to what the comp towns are funded this position for in fiscal year 2025, both the average and the mean?
I can ask Mr. Walters.
Sure. So we have surrounding town information. We don't have it here tonight, but we can certainly get that to you.
Were those numbers used when you were?
Well, so to be fair with this specific line item, the monies that are allocated were the monies that would have been allocated for next fiscal year, regardless of who was there or who was staying or who was going.
This has nothing to do with personality.
I understand what you're asking.
Let him finish.
I understand what you're asking. You know, our concern as the Finance Committee is that we want the best for the town, and I'm sure everyone here agrees we want the best person in that role for the town who's going to do the things for the town that need to be done on a daily, day-to-day basis. The town administrator, town manager, whatever title you want to put on it, is effectively the head of the body of government here. So, you know, we recommended this number because we want that to be available, so when we do go into a search, we're not getting fresh-faced college graduates who've never looked at a $31 million budget to figure out how to work it. So that's why the number is what it is. You know, the Finance Committee specifically was not part of the negotiation for the town administrator. That was the Board of Selectmen that negotiated that contract. So, you know, the inner workings of that answer I think would have to come from the Board of Selectmen.
I think that number actually should come from the Finance Committee because they're privy to the information of what our comparable 8 towns are. And that's all I'm asking for. I realize that we all want to drink champagne, but sometimes we're on a beer budget. If we have those numbers available to us, shouldn't we be utilizing those numbers from the comp towns to develop our budget? I'm not asking that we slash this. If the comp towns say that this position should be funded for $174,000, great, let's fund it for that position. But if the comp towns say you can only afford $150,000 based on the number, that's where we should be. Like it or not. I mean, I'd love to drive a Bentley. I don't have the funds to do so. And we have those 8 communities to compare to for a reason, and we have historically compared to those towns. All I'm asking is that you provide that number so we can build a budget that reflects our affordability.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
So a couple of things. First of all, when the budget was prepared, this figure was a contracted amount. We already have a contract in place. That's where we start. Second, the role of the town administrator has expanded considerably over the past several years, mostly having to do with the complexities of running a $31 million operation, which is what we do. So our town administrator is expected to and does contractual negotiations with all of the unions, works with the finance committee, essentially acts as the financial officer in terms of helping them understand the revenues, the expenditures, that kind of thing. He oversees a lot of the operations of town halls directly, including the IT department, including some of the other things. And he also kind of acts as an overall supervisor for the town, or at least a resource for the town department heads that they can go to questions for, and he can help us keep the process moving in the right direction. So honestly, it's a big job. I think a previous speaker's point that, well, why want to see the comps? Well, before the negotiation would happen again, that's exactly what we would do. We'd have to look at the comps and say, okay, what's the number? Just because it's in this book doesn't mean that that'll be spent. I think everyone on the board has said that. But if we have a lower number, we can't go above it. So it's very important that we keep in mind that this number is right now within the range of town administrators that we use in this town, and also that if we're looking to replace them, we're going to have certain amount of flexibility, and that's what this number provides. If we can negotiate a better deal, it certainly will happen.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am. Your name and address, please.
Joanne Rosen, C111 Leiden Lane. Has this job already been posted since Cody's given his notice?
Has it been posted?
No, it has not.
Okay. I was just
Well,
wondering.
let me, if I can expand on that. So what we are looking to do is to hire a consultant to help us with that search. So again, this is sort of a specialized world when you get to town administrators, and you really don't want to just put an ad in the newspaper. You want to have experienced people who will know the landscape, will know the salary structures, will understand and do the reference checks and all of that. So it's a pretty involved process. So the next step is to hire that consultant, which the board is in the process now of interviewing at least a couple of them. And then after that, the job will be posted.
So do you know what salary starting point you would post it as?
We don't really.
Mr. Moderator, if I may, the board hasn't discussed that yet, but I can let town meeting know that I spoke with one of the consultants who does most of the town administrator recruitments around the state. He's currently doing 12 of them now, and he advised a range would be about 160 to 180 that he would recommend in order to attract qualified candidates.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Amy.
This moderator is to the Finance Committee specifically. Can they please name the comp towns, the 8 comp towns?
Mr. Moderator, if I can make a note, the town did a compensation classification study in 2023, and they developed a list of additional towns. So it's not the 8 towns. That was presented at that special town meeting where the reclassification study was ultimately adopted for non-union personnel by the town. But again, this was just the contracted wage, so we don't have the updated information. The contract, as written, was negotiated in fiscal '24, so that was the data that was utilized with the Board of Selectmen.
Thank you, sir.
Can I please have the answer from the Finance Committee on which towns are the 8 comp towns, please?
So as I said to the gentleman before, we don't have that information here, and I can certainly get that to you. Thank you for your question.
Yes, ma'am, in the back, behind you.
Hi, I'm Ruth Walters, 26 Orchard Circle. Since there has been a proposal and a seconding of changing this amount to $150,000, if that goes forward tonight and your recruiter starts looking for someone at 150,000 and can't find anybody up to that cap, since Sandy Nolan has retired and Cody has a new job, who will be the town administrator until we find someone?
I'll find that out for you. Anyone like to address that?
Anybody want to do it?
Any takers?
What would happen?
No, in seriousness, we'll work with the placement company to, again, they will help us look for interim candidates as a possibility as well, just to hold us over until we can get somebody.
Is there a precedent for that?
Well, yeah, but I mean, we had an interim when I first started, when Charlie Seelig left. So they will find somebody to hold down the fort essentially until we find a permanent person for the position.
But you didn't do that when Sandy Nolan, stepped in, which was great because we knew her and she lives here.
We did that. It's just the town administrator before Sandy left so abruptly, it really caught us unaware.
Okay.
So we were
so just one last question. So what's the process if you go out there and say we're looking for somebody, with a max of $150,000 a year, we can't find anybody, you bring in an interim person, and how long will you allow that interim person to run our town before I guess it comes back to the town to vote to approve more money?
I mean, it kind of depends on the company that we're working with. I mean, if they can kind of give us gleanings into, this is kind of all the candidates that are out there right now. I don't want to say it forces your hand, but it depends on the job market. It depends on if there are other candidates. It depends on if people are looking to jump. It's just, there's so many different factors that will decide how long our interim stays.
But what's the process? Like, at one point do you say we have to go back to the town and ask for more money because
we
we're
would
not
work
getting
with
anybody?
we would work with the consultant to try to come up to that decision.
So you don't know?
Every situation is different, Ruth.
Okay.
It's a fluid situation. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. The gentleman here was ahead of you.
Oh, sure.
Steve McFawn, 47 Indian Path Road. I heard a few people asking about comps. So I think, although maybe not everybody liked him, Charlie Seelig had a lot of experience. And his contracted, I believe, is at 161 this year. So I just...
Yes, thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Your name?
Van Donnelly, 201 Cranberry Drive. Just a quick scan here. Salary range in Hanson with a $27 million budget is up to 145. Okay, online. So just throwing that out. And the second question to this was, what is the cost of the consultant here? Is that X amount of months of pay and salary? Do we pay them like 2 months of salary that for this individual? How much does that cost us?
Let's try to find that out.
Is the question the consultant or the interim? The consultant?
Yeah, the consultant you're going to hire. We generally get or the recruiter or both.
We don't have proposals yet to identify the cost. Once those proposals are in, they'll be taken up by the Board of Selectmen in a public meeting, and those will be addressed. We do not have any
Typically, if we're
proposals.
going to hire a recruiter, we're going to pay a couple of months' worth of salary.
Typically, town administrator recruitments for a town of Halifax's size are probably average about $10,000 right now.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, seeing no indication
Mr.
of further
Moderator,
discussion.
just point of information, what are we voting on?
We're voting on the amendment. We have an amendment on the floor, a motion to amend the figure on line 3 from 174,721 to 150,000. There's a motion and a second. So that's where we're voting on the amendment to change the number. All those in favor of changing the number from 174,721 to 150,000, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. It's a simple majority on this.
Yes. Yes. The motion fails.
The amendment fails.
Now you have
So
to
now we
vote
have to vote
on that,
on that
on
line
174.
before we go to the next one. Okay, so now we're back to general government, line 3, town administrative salary, 174,721. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. The line item passes at the 174,721 figure. There was also a hold on line number 6, the law budget for 165,000. Yes, did you want to speak to that?
I just have a question. Is this legal counsel? Is that what law means? Yes. So I'm just curious, as a point of information, how much, and I'm sorry, Karina Burston, 117 Fuller Street. How much of that is being allocated or budgeted for the MBTA zoning legal?
Yes, Mr. Cole, see if I can get you an answer. Mr. Cody?
Yes, Mr. Moderator, thank you. So the reason for the $30,000 increase from fiscal 25 to fiscal 26 is twofold. One of them is the MBTA zoning litigation, and the other is we are going into a contract year for 5 of our collective bargaining agreements. When we negotiate collective bargaining agreements, Labor Council is typically involved to some extent. So we're estimating about at least $20,000 for the MBTA zoning, and about another 10 an additional cost for the collective bargaining.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no indication further discussion, we'll vote on line 6 on the law account for $165,000. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes. All right, now we're still on page 10. I'm going to go through lines 15 to 20. If there's a hold, please yell out hold. 15, IT wages for $74,161. 15A, IT expenditures, $195,000. 16, assessors salary, $4,500. 17, principal assessors appraiser, $83,696. Line 18, assessors clerical, $74,009. 19 is assessors expense, $29,500. And we'll stop there, because I don't want any confusion, Amy.
So I would move those if they haven't already been moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for lines 15 through 19 on page 10 of the general government. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes. Okay, I'm going to go 20 through 29. Office machines expense, $35,000. 21 is treasurer collector salary, $82,222. Line 22, treasurer collector clerical, $124,665. 23, treasurer's expense. We don't have a number on that one.
Correct. Those were treasurer expense and collector expense were consolidated into line 24, which is treasurer collector expense.
All right, thank you, sir. Line 24, treasurer collector expense, $13,050. Line 25, treasurer banking and payroll expense, $13,000. 26 is tax title treasurer for $5,000. 27, town clerk salary, $76,857. 28, town clerk clerical, $45,238. And the last one, town clerk expense, $3,198.
I would move those as written.
Second.
I have a motion and second to accept lines 20 through 29. Seeing no indication for discussion, all those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red. Passes. Okay. let's finish it. We'll go through lines 30 through 44. Line 30, elect register, 11,448. Line 31, wage and personnel expense, 250. Line 32, recruitment and employment costs, $20,000. Line 33, I'm sorry, was there a hold on that?
Hold? Is there a hold?
Was it?
Okay.
Line 33, Conservation Commission expense, $800. 34, was there a hold on that? Hold on 33. 34, Conservation wages, if I get it like 48,500. 35, Planning Board expense, $1,800. 36, Zoning Board of Appeals expense, 950. Line 37, clerical, 76,805. 38, building committee clerical, 14,168. 39, building committee expense, $450. Line 40, town buildings, director of building maintenance, 106,176. 41, town buildings custodial, 170,000. 42, town buildings expense, 59,000. 43, town building preventative maintenance, 30,750. And the last one, line 44, town building snow and ice expense, $2,000. So we will be voting on, before we do the holds, on lines 30 through 44, excluding line 32, 33, and 36, which had holds.
Do you want?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Those lines passes. We'll go back and do the hold. Line 32, recruitment and employment costs.
Jeff Bolger, Brandeis Circle. Earlier, there was a question asked about how much it was going to cost to do the recruitment for the new administrator, and they said they didn't know. So is it safe to assume that this $20,000 here is not for that purpose? And if that's the case, why, when we're looking at an austerity budget year and looking at a potential 2.5 increase next year, are we looking for a $10,000 increase to recruit people? I don't think we should be in a hiring mood.
I'll see if I can find that out. I'll ask the...
Mr. Moderator, I can answer that question.
Yes, sir.
So this line item really is encompassing of any costs associated with new employees and retaining employees for trainings and so on and so forth. So at any time there's a new employee that has to go for, let's say, a drug test or any sort of testing with that, that comes out of this line item. When we post jobs, right, online or in the newspaper, there's costs associated with that. That's in here. We also, as part of one of the new collective bargaining agreements, there is professional development that is included in that bargaining agreement that the membership of the union can take advantage of. So that would come out of this line item as well. The recruitment of a town administrator could certainly come out of this line item, but it may push it over that 20,000 or close to the 20,000. That was not, the increase was not for that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, yes, sir.
Just as a point of information, when you're negotiating contracts and there's professional development, that's usually negotiated in the cost of the contract. So I don't know why that cost in a negotiated contract is being paid out of this line item. It's when you negotiate a contract and you bring it to the town meeting, we should be voting on the full cost, not having costs hidden elsewhere.
I'm not sure what the question was, but the provisions, the law does not require that the town meeting approve contracts directly. The law that requires that town meeting provide the funding for the contract, and within this budget provides the funding for our collective bargaining agreements.
Thank you, sir. See no indication of discussion. All those in favor of line 32 as indicated in the warrant for recruitment and employment costs of $20,000. All those in favor, raise your green card. All those opposed, raise your red card. Passes. We are at line 33, Conservation Commission expense for $800. There was a hold.
I was just curious why it went up $300 this year.
You were just what? I'm sorry, is there?
I was just curious why it went up $300 this year.
See if I can find that out.
Mr. Moderator, I can provide an answer for that.
Yes, sir.
As part of the Board of Selectmen's goals, they've really provided an emphasis on making sure our boards and committees are adequately trained. You know, Conservation Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals really have a lot of exposure to Massachusetts general law, and by having trained committee members, it essentially saves the town money potentially in litigation. So they did adopt a training policy for appointed boards and committees, which includes the Conservation Commission and Board of Appeals, and those courses do cost some money for the members, and so that's the reason for the increase by a few $100s in each of these line items.
Great. Thank you, sir. Amy?
Yeah, just as a note, now we have a conservation agent, which should help since we don't have an NOI on the Starbucks property. But planning board is still staying steady at 1,800. So I find it's just interesting that just conservation went up.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no indication of further discussion, line 33 remains at $800. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. It passes, remains the same. We have a hold on line 36, Zoning Board of Appeals expense for $950.
I believe I answered that, Mr. Moderator. It's a result of the trainings as provided by the Board of Selectmen's policy for appointed boards and committees.
Thank you, sir. Seeing no indication of any further discussion, line 36, Zoning Board of Appeals expense at $950. All those in favor, raise your green card. All those opposed, raise your red card. Passes. Okay, let's move on to the next topic of public safety. I'm on page 12, starting with line 45. We'll do public safety police first. Line 45, police chief salary, $283,841. Line 46, police wages, $1,403,943. Line 47, police training, $12,000. Line 48, police clerical, $57,910. 49, police expenses, $70,000. Line 50, police station maintenance, $21,500. Line 51, police cruiser maintenance, $20,000. I can't hear you.
Hold
Can
on
you
45.
25?
45. Hold on 45.
Okay, we're going to be voting the public safety and police lines 46 through 51. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. 46 through 51 passes. Go back to line 45. Police chief salary for $283,841. Yes, sir. Your name and address.
Yeah, I'm Rod Hemingway, 20 Ridge Road. Just wanted to ask if there's a breakout between the two salaries. You said that was included, the assistant chief as well as the chief of police. Just wonder if there's a separation of those salaries that is available for us to consume.
I'll see if I can find that out for you.
Yes, Mr. Moderator.
Yes,
the chief's salary is $159,777. And the deputy chief's salary is the remainder, which is, sorry, give me one moment, just loading here.
I got 124. 64.
Yeah, 124.64.
So together, added together, then
That
the
equals the
question is, it's 283,841 for both the chief and the deputy chief.
That is correct.
Okay. Seeing no indication of any further discussion, line 45, police chief salary, 283,841. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes unanimous. All right, we'll move on to public safety, fire department. We're looking at lines 52 through 60. 52, fire, chief salary, 151,709. Hold. Did I get that right?
Yep.
The yellow hold. Line 53, fire clerical, 56,905. 54, fire wages, 1,235,10. Line 55, fire training, 79,600. Line 56, fire expense, 55,250. 57, fire station maintenance, 18,500. Line 58, fire vehicle equipment maintenance, 36,000. 59, fire medical supplies, 50,000. Line 60, ambulance billing, 32,000. Okay, we're going to vote on lines 53 through 60.
50, Bert.
53.
Didn't I say 53?
53.
I'm all right. 53 through 60. All those in favor of lines 53 through 60, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes unanimous. Now we'll go to the hold on 52.
Yes.
Somebody want to speak to the hold? Your name and address, please, Deb.
Deb Tinkham, 88 Paradise Lane. Is the salary for this line item, does that include both the chief and the deputy chief? Are those salaries combined?
Mr. Moderator, we do not have a deputy chief at the fire department. This is just the fire chief.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Van Darling, 201 Cranberry Drive. I just wanted to bring up the issue here that, just so we look at this, the fire chief's salary at 151, less money than we're paying the town administrator. And you would think that the chief of police department and everything he's got to go through is going to be a lot more rigorous in training and everything else. So I just wanted to point that out as a point of reference. Thank you.
Okay, back to line 52. All those in favor of line 52, the fire chief's salary, 151,709, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes unanimous. Okay, with our next section on page 13, public safety, other public safety. We're going to do lines 61 through 67, emergency management, 3,000. Building inspector wages, 95,957. Assistant building inspector wages, $1,000. Building inspector expenses, 6,350. Sealer of weights and measures, salary, 2,883. Sealer weights and measures expense, 525. Animal control officer expense, 32,000, for a total of 141,715.
Moved as written.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on lines 61 through 67. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes unanimous. Line 68, dispatch services, for a total of $200,000.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Yes, second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor of line 68 for dispatch services at $200,000, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes unanimous. Schools. Lines 69 through 71. Elementary school, school costs, $7,615,813. Line 70, Silver Lake assessment, $8,585,604. Hold. Line 71, debt exclusion budget, Silver Lake, $444,424. Okay, we're going to vote on line 60, for line 69 and 71. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes. Now to the hold on line 70. Would you like to speak to that?
Mr. Moderator, Gordon Andrews, 244 Elm Street. I just wanted to acknowledge Paula Harris's service Paula Hatch's service to our town. She served on the elementary school and Silver Lake, and we missed her in the opening acknowledgments.
Thank you.
Paula, could you stand up, please? Paula, stand up.
Line 70, Silver Lake assessment, $8,585,604. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes unanimous. All right, Public Works on Highway. Line starts on page 13, line 72 to 85. 72 Highway, surveyor salary, $84,152. Line 73 Highway wages, $358,052. Highway clerical, line 74, $55,685. 75 highway expense, $6,771. 76 highway bond maintenance, $13,750. 77 highway equipment, $52,500. 78 highway town roads, $58,705. Line 79 highway stormwater management, $100,000. Line 80 highway snow and ice, $177,509. Line 81, streetlights, $41,000. Line 82, traffic lights, $7,500. 83, tree warden salary, $1. Line 84, tree maintenance, $7,000. Line 85, insect and pest control, $1, for a total highway of $962,626.
Mr. Moderator, you had a hold.
How did I miss that? 80 and 82? 82.
Yeah.
And 82. Okay, do I have a motion for, on the highways, on the public works from line 72 to 85, excluding lines 80 and 82?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes. Let's, line 80, and I apologize for not hearing you yell hold, whoever that was.
No, someone's getting it.
Debbie Highway, snow and ice for $177,509.
Deb Tinkham, 88 Paradise Lane. Why did that jump from 90,000 to 177,000? And we haven't had a major snowstorm in years. So why the difference? And what money was turned back into the budget for lack of using the monies? Please.
I'll see if I can find that out.
So the budgeted figure has not changed. So you see last year it was budgeted at 177,509. In fiscal 24, that's what was actually expended, but we have not increased this line in several years. So if we don't have a lot of weather events and we don't need to utilize the funds, that goes back to the town in the form of free cash, which is supplementing the budget this year or is used for capital items. But we budget that figure annually because we can't predict the weather. And then if we use less, it goes back to the town.
No, I understand that, but it seems if we put a number out there, we work to go to that number.
No, that's not accurate.
Well,
We use what we need to treat the roads.
okay, there just hasn't been an awful lot of that this year, fortunately.
Right, so whatever's unspent will go back to the town and certified in free cash by the state.
Did anything go back to the town last year?
Last year, in fiscal '24, it did. So only $90,630 was spent. So, you know, the remainder of that was sent back to the town. So almost, you know, another $90,000 was sent back to the town.
Okay,
All right, thank you. Yes, Sandy, your name and address, please.
Sandra Nolan, 360 South Street. One of the reasons why we've kept that number the same over all these years is because on this line, the state allows us to deficit spend. So if we had a year where we had all the snowstorms like in 2015, we can go and spend over this amount. The state allows that because everyone knows we can't predict the weather. If we lower this amount, then we would not be allowed to deficit spend on this line.
Thank you. I have a motion.
Yes, move.
Second.
A motion and a second for line 80 highway snow and ice at 177,509. All those in favor, raise your green card. All those opposed, raise your red card. Passes. Line 82, traffic lights, $7,500. Yes, sir. Your name and address.
Jeff Bolger, Brandeis Circle. This may be a small issue, but in Halifax, we have what? 4 sets of lights. And with the closing of Stop and Shop, the lights that were in front of their entrance street has been constantly flashing orange. So it seems to be a total waste of electricity. It's a small amount of money, but just shutting it off until some other business goes into that location, because it's useless for gaining access or exit from that road.
Thank you.
I believe the highway surveyor is here if he wants to, Mr. Hayward, provide information on that.
Steve Hayward, Highway Surveyor. I was asked to put the lights on flash. That's what I did. I'm pretty sure there's a law that I can't just shut those off because there's still cars coming in and out of that entranceway. So if they want, I'll look into see if I can shut it off, but that new, what is it, the coffee shop's going in, they're going to be putting up a new light anyway, so I don't know how much it'll save.
All right, thank you, sir. So I have a motion?
Yes, moved.
And seconded.
And second, for line 82, traffic lights at $7,500. All those in favor, raise your green card. All those opposed, raise your red card. Passes unanimous. All right, Public Works, the cemetery. Line 86, I'm on page 14. Line 86, cemetery superintendent salary, $12,391. 87, cemetery wages, $67,700. 88, cemetery supplies and equipment, $6,195. Total cemetery, $86,286. Do I have a motion?
Yes, moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, lines 86 through 88. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes unanimous. Public Works, water, line 89, water superintendent salary, $102,530. Line 90, water wages, $245,349. 91, water clerical, $61,456. Line 92, water supply, $220,625. On flip over to, I'm sorry?
Hold on 92.
Thank you. 92. Line 93, water insurance, $52,500. 94, water retire. Hold on 93. 94, water retirement, 40,000. Line 95, water legal fees, 1,350. Line 96, water meters, 50,000. 97, water, gas, and oil, 16,500. Line 98, water, interest on temporary debt, $60,000. Line 99, water, vehicle equipment maintenance, 13,500. Line 100, water, town wells maintenance, 99,000. So we're voting on lines 89 through 100, excluding lines 92, 93, and 98. Do I have a motion?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of those lines, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes unanimous. All right, 92, water supply, 220,625. Yes, sir. Your name and address, please.
Joe Favor, 66 Clyde Bosworth. I see an increase from the 24 to 26. Can you tell me what the $222,000 is included? What is that a breakdown of?
Mr. Moderator, I believe the water superintendent, Mr. Lindsay, is here, and he could provide information on what makes up that line item.
Mr. Lindsay?
So the increase is all the chemicals. Now we have to add bisulfite to the water to get the chlorine out, and the lab fees have all gone up. It's just every year the lab fees increase like 6%. That's where it's level funded from last year, but it's gone up since 2022.
Do we put the chemicals out for bid?
Yes, we do.
How often?
Every year.
Every year? And do we do in-house testing of water?
Yeah, hold on. Your question is, do the other towns do it? Could you answer that question first, please? Or how do the other towns do it?
We do it. We're part of the South Shore Collaborative. It's all surrounding towns to get together once a year, and every year we bid the chemicals. So it's a whole group of us, not just the water department. Hanson, Bridgewater, Plymouth, Pembroke, all the surrounding towns.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So we put we get bids for chemicals every year?
Sir, you could address.
Okay, we get, I just want to make sure I understand that. We're getting bids for chemicals every year, and we source out of town our chemical analysis. And it's not done in-house. And can it be done in-house and cheaper?
I'll see if I can get an answer for that. Yes, sir.
I believe DEP mandates that we have a state-certified lab do all our testing.
Sir,
we
if
do
you could
test.
speak into the mic, we could all.
We do test in-house for the chlorine and manganese and iron, and we have to, just for our knowledge, but we have to send it out to the state. It has to be certified by a state lab, and if it isn't, then we end up getting non-compliance with the state.
Okay, thank you, sir.
That's it for me, thank you.
Thank you. All right, for line 92, do I have a motion for line 92 water?
So moved.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So
Your
why
name
do
and
we,
address, please.
sorry, Amy Troop, 10 Hillside Ave. Why do we need so many more chemicals now would be a question that I would like to ask.
The only new chemical we're getting is sodium bisulfite to take the chlorine out of the wastewater at Richmond Park. It's just one added chemical. No, but they're all lumped together. We haven't had to buy this yet. This is new.
So then that's the only new chemical?
That's the only new one.
That was the question, yep.
Why do we have to use so much chlorine in our water now?
We use chlorine now for the bacteria, and it also oxidizes the iron and manganese to remove that from the water that goes through Richmond Park.
Do we have an uptick in manganese and iron in our water at this current time or over the last couple of years? And if so, what are the percentages?
I think it's stayed the same. I know there's been a lot of complaints, so now the lab since last year has made us, DEP's made us test monthly for it, and they just instituted another monthly one starting next month.
Can you tell me what the differences are or what the percentages are and where the ranging is? And is the DP concerned with the percentages that we have?
I can get you the numbers, but I know that DEP's concerned enough to make us test monthly.
Do you have knowledge of some of the percentages? I mean, you must have a somewhat range of what the percentages are, correct?
I think it's been basically the same over the past 4 or 5 years. I don't think it's increased that much.
Mr. Moderator, I just want to make note, the town does publish an annual drinking water quality report as required by DEP. All of those reports from 2008 through 2024 are available on the town's website, or if anyone wants to request them from the water department, those are all available too, and they have all this information. That's very specific information to ask Mr. Lindsay to know on the spot.
Great, thank you.
Lori Costa, Klein, 285 South Street. I'd like to make a motion that we end discussion on line item 92 and move it to a vote.
I have a motion and a second to end the discussion, line 92. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Great. Line 92, water supply, $220,625. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes. We are line 93, water insurance for $52,500. There was a hold.
David Marcio, 16 10th Ave. Can we crack the door open? It's hot as can be over in here. Is that okay?
Should we do that? I don't see any reason why. It is hot.
Get the selectmen to do it.
All right, line 93, water insurance for $52,500. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have. In a second?
Second.
So motion and a second for water insurance, $52,500. Oh, I thought that's what Mr. Massio spoke on. All right, if there was a hold on it, please. Water insurance, $52,500.
Yeah, so last year it was $42,000 and this year is $52,500. Is there a reason that we're having more insurance, or is this just an uptick in insurance costs? Mr. Lindsay?
Mr. Moderator, I can answer that question.
Yes, Mr.
This has to
I
do...
would like Mr. Lindsay to answer this question, please.
Right, so I prepare the
call on
budget
Mr.
for
Hudson.
insurance for the town, so I can certainly provide the facts on that. This is made up of health, dental, life insurance for their employees because they're an enterprise fund. It also includes property insurance, workers' compensation insurance. When we get to fixed costs, you'll see our insurance is increasing, at 8% for health insurance. We're seeing historical increases across the board for property, liability, workers' comp. And so you see in fiscal 24, we went over budget and spent, almost $49,000. So in forecasting this out, there was a need to increase it to 52.5.
Thank you, sir. Can see no indication. I'll go back. I'll ask for a motion on line 93.
Yes, so moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Water insurance, line 93, $52,500. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes unanimous. A hold on line 98, water, interest on temporary debt, $60,000.
Amy Troop, 10 Hillside Ave. It was $0 for the last 3 years, and now it's 60. So I'm just making sure and clarifying this, and I'm asking the water superintendent.
Mr. Moderator, I have an answer to that question as I handle all the financials for the town, so I can provide an information on that.
Thank you.
The town meeting approved a borrowing in the past 2 town meetings ago. So, I'm sorry, may I continue, Mr. Moderator?
Sure.
Thank you. The town approved a borrowing, so we did a BAN, which is a bond anticipated note. We borrowed $1.3 million just the other day, and we do that so we don't have to go out to a long-term borrowing, which essentially saves the town money, so we're not locked into paying interest for 10 years. So this is just the interest on that basically 1-year loan with the idea that we continue to pay it down year over year, and we're not locked into a 10-year commitment, which saves the town significant funds and interest. So it's the 1-year interest cost of that borrowing.
Thank you, sir. See no indication. Do I have a motion on line 98, water interest on temporary debt?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second?
Yes.
In a second?
Yes.
All those in favor of line 98, water interest on temporary debt, $60,000, raise your green card. All those opposed, raise your red card. Passes. Okay, Public Works, Solid Waste Management, line 101, I'm on page 15. Recycling Office, Clerical, $38,494. 102, Recycling Office Expense, $4,911. 103, Recycling Center Wages, $83,890. 104, Recycling Center Expense, $51,240. 105, Hazardous Waste Collection, $19,900. 106, line 106, Trash Collection Disposal, $366,725. Total Solid Waste Management, $565,160.
Move as read.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the lines as read from lines 101 to 106. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes unanimous. Total Public Works, we're going to go into Health and Human Services, lines 107 to 121. 107, Health Clerical, $53,900. Line 108, Health Expense, $7,473. Line 109, Health Inspections, $91,845. Line 110, Health Nursing Service, $7,000. Line 111, Landfill Engineering and Monitoring, $29,350. Line 112, Inspector of Animals, $3,489. Line 113, Council on Aging Director Salary, $81,239. Lines 114, Council on Aging Wages, $133,000. Line 115, Council on Aging Expense, $7,300. Line 116, Pope's Tavern Electricity, $4,800. Line 117, Veterans Agent Salary, $28,500. Line 118, Veterans Agent Expense, $2,500. 119, Veterans Benefits, $195,520. Line 120, Housing Authority, $1. Line 121, ADA expense, $1.
Moved as written.
Second.
I'm sorry, I missed it. 111.
111?
Is that the only one you have? 111?
I think that's it.
Okay, we're voting on lines 107 through 121 without line 111. Do I have a motion?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. The lines 107 through 121. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes. Let's go back to line 111. There's a hold on landfill, engineering, and monitoring, $29,350. Fred, your name and address, please.
Fred Corrigan, 7 Rosewood Drive. My question is, how come such a jump in the last 4 years? We've doubled our engineering cost and our monitoring cost on the landfill.
Let me see if I can find that out for you. Mr. Code?
Yes, Mr. Moderator. So over the past few years, the amount has stayed pretty consistent with the exception of in fiscal 26, we are seeing almost a $10,000 increase. The reason for that is the town owns a landfill over Hemlock Lane landfill near the highway barn. Is a municipal landfill that's capped. DEP informed us in December that we are now required to do PFAS. I'm sure everyone's heard of the PFAS chemical, that we are required to test all of our monitoring wells. We have 8 of them for PFAS, and that has to be tested twice a year. So we are currently securing proposals to do that testing, but it's estimated at about $10,000, a little bit less than that, $9,500, to do that testing annually, and that's a requirement from the DEP.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Amy Troop, 10 Hillside Ave. That actually brings up a question. Does that have anything to do with the fact that we have just accepted, or the landfill has accepted truckloads of Boston dirt?
This landfill does not accept any dirt. This is the town-owned landfill on Hemlock Lane. It's a capped landfill that there's nothing going on there.
Thank you. Okay, can I get a motion then on line 111 for
So moved.
$29,350? A motion and a second. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes. Okay, cultural and recreation. What do we got? Let's go lines 122 to 128. 122, library, director's salary, $90,000. Line 123, library wages, $195,763. Line 124, library expense, $74,767. Line 125, youth and rec wages, $19,186. 126, youth and rec expense, $13,216. Line 127, youth and rec director, $19,122. Line 128, parks and wages, $5,400.
Moved as read.
Do I have a motion?
Yes.
And a second?
Second.
For lines 122 to 128. All those in favor, raise your green card. All those opposed, raise your red card. Passes unanimous. I'm on page 17 now. Line 129, parks expense, $2,500. Line 130, cable television, $198,000. Line 131, patriotic celebrations, $300. Line 132, historical commission, $3,500, that too. 133, historical district commission, $450. 134, holidays in Halifax, $3,400. 135, Halifax Fireworks Committee, $3,400. 136, Beautification Commission expense, $500.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
Line 130 was reduced by amendment to 160,000.
That was the amendment we did at the beginning, Bert.
All right, line 130 has been amended to 160,000 from 198,000. Do I have a motion to accept the amendment?
No,
already did.
no, the
We
amendment
already
has
did
already
it.
been voted on.
Okay.
So you're voting on all of those lines, included the
Okay,
amended
lines
number.
129 through 136. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes 129 to 136. Debt service, line 137. Debt, WPAT 2 for $10,000. 138 debt, HES roof and repairs, Halifax Elementary School, $287,450. Line 139, debt, HES fire suppression system, $163,650. Line 140, interest on temporary loans, $5,000.
Moved as read.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept lines 137 through 140. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes unanimous. Fixed costs, line 141, Plymouth County Retirement, $2,032,263. 142, group insurance, town share, $1,332,752. Line 143, Medicare town share, $162,000. Sick vacation time payouts, $30,000. Line 145, insurance, $355,000. Line 146, OPEB trust for $46,000. Line 147, heating oil, all buildings, $53,000. Line 148, telephone, $45,000. In line 149, gas and oil, all departments, $110,000.
Moved as read.
Second.
So we have a moved and seconded for lines, we're voting on lines 141 through 149. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes unanimous. Do we have to change the total general operating?
No, Mr. Walters already provided that in his amendment, so we're all set. Operating budget's complete.
What's that?
Yes.
Yeah, I provided that in the amendment.
Okay, thank you, sir. Funding notes.
You're
Account
good.
description.
No, you're good.
Oh, that's right.
We're good.
It's my turn. Article 21.
Oh, this is the zoning. Next one. Oh, this, oh. Mr. Moderator?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I would move Article 21 as printed in the warrant.
Oh, second, sorry. Sleeping.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Yes, sir.
Well, I think usually we get the opportunity to speak first on these since it's my
Right.
motion.
Can you hold on one second? Where they presented it? I'm sorry, I apologize.
So if you read the petition to the state legislature and to the state government, Halifax was clear that the MBTA zoning is not acceptable to the residents here. That was very clear. What we're trying to do with this proposal is to make that statement even clearer to the state government so that there is no question. I'd like to mention that recently as a newspaper article talking about the budget and that this MBTA zoning is a hot topic. I know that at least one of our state representatives is very involved in trying to either change or overturn the MBTA zoning. So I think what we're trying to do with this is simply to encourage that effort on the part of the state legislature. In America, laws are made by our state legislature, or at least in Massachusetts, they're made by the state legislature. So if we want to change something, that's the legal and appropriate way to do it. What this article does is simply give more support to the people that are working to try to change that MBTA more in line with what Halifax has already voted about.
Yes, sir, question.
Yeah, okay. My concerns are the town spoke really loud on this issue, and I like what you said, except for the fact that it says inside here, Article 3, the town of Halifax pledges to work with other municipalities, regional organizations, and lawmakers to advocate for a more balanced and equitable approach to zoning and housing development that respects local sovereignty and the needs of all of our communities. The issue is I don't see the need to have this after we've already told them no. And I think on the news, if you all look, the governor's out there looking at taking land for battery storage energy throughout the state now. So I think the issue to me, and that's overruling the towns too. So you're at a point here where you start slippery slope. We told them no. I don't see why there's a reason for us to even go back to them here at all.
So I'd like to address that. Currently, the town is not in compliance with the MBTA zoning. Everyone knows that.
Yep.
Currently, we are subject to withholding of grant money. We're also subject to potential enforcement actions on the part of the Attorney General. Several other surrounding communities have already started litigation on this topic, Milton, of course, being the first one, but some of like the closer ones to us have also. The town meeting should know that earlier this week, the town actually did file a complaint in the Superior Court asking the Superior Court judge to issue an injunction to prevent the state from doing anything in relating to that MBTA zoning. So we're technically in violation of the law. That I don't think anybody can dispute that. So what we're trying to do, though.
Well, the question is what's legal.
Hold on, let him answer.
What we're trying to do here is to work within the law, work within the system to change the law, and that I think would be the best event that could possibly happen. We can fight it, or we can just say no, and then suffer all the consequences potentially, or we can encourage some of our state reps, including, I know Mr. Sweezy is working diligently on this, this is some encouragement to him. Say, look, he can go to the Speaker of the House, he can go to the Attorney General, he can go to the court if he has to, and say, you know, here's one of my communities that really doesn't think this is a proper law, and that is that's why we're trying to change it. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying not to ignore it. We're trying to actually effect a change to the benefit of the town.
And we already had the state auditor that has, you know, as I mentioned before, that this would be called an unfunded mandate. I think at the speaking of, then it came down so. And the reason was pretty clear. I mean, a 2-year-old kid could have figured out that it's going to cost us money. So, I mean, it just advocates that way. And to come up with something here now, if any result from this, maybe there should be something amended here, that any result from this, you would have to come back to the town for anything that you decide that you're going to work out with somebody regarding this. Because we've already said no in a pretty wide margin. So I think you need to come back to the town amendment in here if you guys decide to do something, okay, that is against what the town had already said. So I just want to be clear here, because it is an unfunded mandate, and there'll be an article later that'll address that. But the issue is, if we don't have any backup or anything right now. We're just saying it's going to cost us money, and we've stopped it from going forward. The concern is, if you read the news, what I just mentioned about the battery storage. You just come in, we're going to take your property, the zoning in that area, and we're going to put in battery storage next to your house, or whatever it could be. So you got to understand, this is a policy that's going down through the state. And my feeling is eventually they're going to lose in federal court if they end up going that far, because it's overreaching our constitutional rights. And I think that we're going down a bad path here if we agree to any of this. That's it.
So, Mr. Moderator, just on the unfunded mandate aspect of it, that's one of the that's the main issue that the town raised in this recently filed action in the Superior Court. Just to be clear, the state auditor issued a letter saying that, in her opinion, this was an unfunded mandate. That doesn't have any effect on its own. All it is the state auditor saying, it's my job to make these judgments, and my judgment is that. It really comes back, and it'll end up in court somewhere on whether or not it does, it is an unfunded mandate. And that's an issue that, like I say, the town is already working on. And again, what we're trying to do is be positive here. We're trying to get positive results from our state legislature, letting them know that, without a doubt, we think this is wrong and it should be changed. And I think, in terms of the rule of law and the Constitution and all of that. That's really the essence of how our government works. So that's why we propose it.
Yes, ma'am.
In this
Your
proclamation.
name and address, please.
Oh, sorry, Amy Troop, 10 Hillside Ave. In this, number 3 is the part that I don't like. I mean, the equitable approach to zoning and housing development that respects local sovereignty and the needs of all community. What it says is that you'll pledge to work with these. And my problem with that is that in Middleborough at March 25th hearing between the Selectmen and the Finance Committee. Before that, Sweezy was here with Kathy Lenatra, and Kathy said that she helped Middleborough. Well, when you go and you dig and you find out what Kathy Lenatra did to help Middleborough, she gave the number of one of the selectmen to the lieutenant governor who called and made a deal for another zoning overlay area of McDonald's and a hotel. So the reason that I'm stating this is because that's the kind of help that we would be looking at working with, and that's the kind of help that we don't want to work with. So I would say if we strike number 3, I would even be for this letter going to the state.
So I think just, Mr. Moderator,
Yes,
just
sir.
to be clear, the town of Middleborough situation is much different than ours. They already had zoning that was in compliance. It just wasn't being called that. They actually had the buildings and so on. That's why they cut that deal. That's why they withdrew their lawsuit. Our situation's different. As of we stand right now, we do not have a zone in Halifax that meets compliance at all. We just don't have it. We talked about it last December, but that was turned down, and we do not have that now. So we're in a different circumstance altogether. And cooperation with other towns. We're a town of 8,000 people. I don't know, I mean, let's not get our heads too big here in terms of fighting, the good fight. We need other people to help us, other towns to help us, and we can't get that help if we don't work with them. So to say that it's somehow wrong to work with other communities it doesn't even make any sense.
Attorney Bruno, I have actually had many conversations with you about a pro bono lawsuit that we have the town on and working with other towns, so I'm for that. What I'm saying is that we don't make a deal with the lieutenant governor, because if you had talked to the selectman directly, he would say that it was an overlay zone that might count for the MBTA housing. But if you look to Plymouth has actually Loring Ave that is built 100 feet tops to the MBTA commuter line, and that was supposed to be counted in their MBTA housing, and it is not. So that is the concern, because some of these buildings that were built end up not being within that zone. So when your town votes, so I'm saying if you strike number 3, it's not that I don't want to work with other towns, I work with them all the time. And we have this pro bono lawsuit going on for a year and a half.
Thank you.
Can I just, really quick, we're getting stuck on number 3. I think the spirit of this here is to say that if there are other communities that are like-minded like us, we're open to work with them. To put it on, we're willing to play the game and all that stuff. I think it's more in the essence of, hey, you, Hanson, you, Middleborough, wherever, you agree that this isn't a fit for you guys, let's talk. Let's have strength in numbers. So I think that's what number 3 is trying to get to. It's not, it opens the door for us to make deals with other entities. That's just my take.
Yes, your name and address, please.
Christina Palmer, 38 Pond Street. I move we put this article to a vote.
Okay, do I have an affirmative motion?
She made a motion to move the question.
And do I have a second?
Not debatable and a majority vote. So we have to do that first, and then if that passes, then we go to the article.
So I have a motion and a second to move the question. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Motion passes.
Now we go to Article 21. Now we take up Article 21.
Now we take up the
Okay, now we have Article 21.
We just did 21.
We did motion to what? That's correct. Now we're gonna vote on the article. So I have a motion for Article 21.
Yes.
Yep, second.
A motion and a second on Article 21 as presented in the warrant. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes.
Article 24.
Petition article.
Okay, Article 24, I just want to make the community aware that on...
Hold on.
On-
Let me make a
sit
motion
down.
first.
I haven't called on you yet. Hold on.
Okay.
That all of the, all articles that are proposed and on the warrant are all subject to the Attorney General approval, legally wise. And then from there, it's accepted by the state, by the Secretary of State. So bottom line, the proposals such as that we're going to encounter tonight are subject to the Attorney General legality. Have I explained that correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a process.
So I just wanted to be upfront about that. Because what I'm saying is even if we vote yes on several of these, it still has to pass muster as far as legality goes with the Attorney General's office. Article 24.
Okay. Since there is actually one of these articles that is just like this, I'm going to move to pass over Article 24 with the explanation of the fact that we do have another article that's going to be looking on a way to find that MBTA is an unfunded mandate, which is exactly what this was all about to begin with. So my motion is to pass over Article 24.
I have a motion on the floor to pass over Article 24. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to pass over Article 24. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes to pass over.
Article 25. I know.
Proposed by Mr. Van Donley. Yes, sir.
Van Donley, 201 Cranberry Drive. I actually proposed this article. My concern, and I guess it is to see if the town of Halifax will vote for and approve an immediate impact study to be completed internally and led through our Finance Committee, or an independent study directed and controlled through the Finance Committee on the financial impact of the MBTA proposed rezoning law that was turned down by town voters and was further designated as an unfunded mandate to the state auditor. This article is to pay all town costs to back up the state auditor finding as it applies to Halifax in the determination of an unfunded mandate. If the Attorney General holds grants from the town, we could sue with a comprehensive impact study in hand and a determination from the state auditor for Halifax. When the impact study is completed, the article directs the town offices to file a formal request for determination with the Mass State Auditor for the local ruling on Halifax. And the issue for me raising this issue here is nothing stopping and going around this. And if they come back to us and say, okay, we're going to overrule you on this, we have no backup here to tell us how much are our costs here in 5 years, our water system impact. What is it to us? What's it going to do to the quality of the water for all the other residents if we don't shut it down now and stop it? What's it going to do for the cost of education, for town services and everything else here? So without an impact study sitting there with our town lawyers that we'd have it, okay? I think we're looking like we want to go agree on something just to get rid of it. And the issue to me is, without this impact study, we have no basis to go forward with lawsuits or anything else we want to do. This proves our point that this is an unfunded mandate for the state and a determination of Halifax. That's why I really recommend that we look at this thing heavily and pass it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Finance Committee recommendation.
Finance Committee does not recommend Article 25 as written.
Mr.
Board of
Moderator,
Selectmen?
Yeah, Mr. Moderator, just to point out a few things. First of all, This article does request that a independent study, financial impact, I think it's called, be done, but there's no funding for it. So even if this is a good article, according to the Attorney General's office, even if we think it's a good idea, as proposed, there's no funding for it, so it can't be done. The other thing that town needs to just keep in mind again, just this week, we filed that that lawsuit in the Plymouth County Superior Court, where there are a couple of other lawsuits already pending, based on the auditor's letter that this is an unfunded mandate. We have extremely talented attorneys on our payroll. We pay them fairly well, as you've seen. And believe me, I think we can trust them to figure out how to do this. The third thing is, as it stands right now, we don't have any particular zone to investigate. So it's hard to make an analysis when we're kind of talking in theoretical. So you could say, well, if we built so many over here, we built so many over there, this road needs to be done, but if that doesn't happen, it's this road or the water, all those issues. So, that's why we think that this is, it's up to the town to do whatever they want, but again, it's going to be done by the attorney. It's not funded now, and it doesn't, I don't know that it accomplishes what we're trying to accomplish.
The Board of Selectmen's recommendation then?
But we've never taken a position on it. That's our discussion has been on this. That's our discussion.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am, your name and address?
It's Lori Costa-Klein, 285 South Street. So actually, one of the selectmen answered my question, which is, where would the money come for this study or this audit? There is no money. So if this article is approved, town meeting votes for it, what happens?
Well, as I mentioned previously, as far as, and correct me if I'm wrong, as I mentioned previously, this has to, if it passes by the town, it goes to the Attorney General. They determine whether it's legal, illegal, can happen or not. So even though the town votes and passes off it, again, it still has to pass muster.
Okay.
So, and that's not like the last one, or particularly this one, or anyone in particular. That's state law.
Mr. Moderator, can we ask town council to just explain that a little bit better so that we
Sure.
all
That'll
know
give
what
you
we're talking
better.
about?
Thanks.
Yes, Mr. Huxton.
So I believe what you're referring to is the fact that all warrant articles that are passed have to go and be reviewed by the Attorney General for their legality, whether they're consistent with with state law and with the state constitution.
That's basically yes.
You're right.
Put it much better than I did.
But it's not just, I just wanted to make sure we know, it's not just petition articles, it's all articles. So petition articles would go in the same bucket as any article proposed by the highway surveyor or whatever. They all have to go through that process.
Okay, thank you. Amy, I think you were next. Please, Amy.
Amy
address.
Troop, 10 Hillside Ave. The reason that I wanted to get up is because the impact study would be done by saying that if 750 units with unknown bedrooms came into a town, how much would that affect our water supply? Because you have like toilets flushing, showers going, and of the like. So that would be one part of the impact study. Another would be how many of those people have cars on the road? How many of those people need to go to a grocery store and get food? How many people are going to go to the schools? How many people, and you have to give a pretty good estimate, if there's 750 units of even two-bedroom apartments, there could be a possible gain in elementary school, junior high, and high school, but again, crucial on the water. So an impact study would be done by seeing what the potential for 750 units to affect on the town. Like, for instance, how many more police officers would we need on duty? Maybe asking other towns that have these buildings already built and seeing how much their police force is going over there, or how much their fire department is going over for false alarm fire poles, and things like that. That's the impact study it would be, because it doesn't really have anything to do with just a zone, because that zone still affects the town. It's one of the reasons subdivision control went in.
Thank you.
Maddie, grab the mic, Maddie. Yeah, pull it out. There you go.
I didn't know that was possible. Allison Long, 186 Monpont Street. I think it's moot. I like the idea of an impact study. I think that's a good idea, but there's no money for it. So we can't do it anyway. I think next year, if somebody wants to come up with this, they have to come up with a budget. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
I guess one of the things in the article was that it could be done internally with the Finance Committee. So I'm not sure how much budget would have to be allocated to do that. It said external or internal. So it could be done internal to our own organization if we went to the department heads and everyone else and got an idea of what this case was. Second, if the Attorney General is going to review this, she's also the one who is telling us that we have a problem when we're filing the audit of it, where it's an unfunded mandate. Well, she's saying it's not, right? So she's going to look at our article, turn down the article against her. That's got to be a legal problem here somewhere for her if she's going to look at my article to turn down it if it's going to go against her. So I would think that would be a problem. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Jeff Bolger, Brandeis Circle. You've indicated you filed an injunction. Usually that requires the submission of some type of evidence other than just a statement by the state auditor that it's unfunded. So to support that, it would seem to me that you would need exactly what this is asking for. And it would be a legitimate expense under the legal account that we just increased by $30,000.
Hold on, let me check.
Got town council?
Yes. Town council.
I'd just like to mention that the lawsuit that we have filed that's been referred to, part of what it requests is that the court do exactly what you guys are referring to make a determination that there is an unfunded mandate, to make a determination of the amount of the deficiency of funding to the town, as a result of this requirement from the MBTA Communities Act. So in the unfunded mandate law, actually, it's presented as an alternative. You don't have to a town doesn't have to do this kind of audit or study first. They can go right to the court and ask the court to make that determination, and that's what we've already done. That's what this complaint does.
Understood. But the issue for that is that if you go into court without your background and history and document, every town's going to have a different impact to the town, right? Some could say we got to shut off our water service. We can't put it in Halifax whether you wanted to or not. Our water department could shut it off and say we got no more connections in the town. They're done. They got the rule of law. So we could shut them down just by simply saying we can't put more people on our water system, right? So things like that are definitely impacting different towns differently than others. So the impact study to me is a Halifax impact study. So we tell the court, no, we did our homework. This is our problems. This is what would happen in our water systems. This happened in our schools, rather than saying, Judge, you figure it out. I mean, that's not going to go over too well in court. So, I mean, if you don't come in there with the documentations and everything, my feeling is she's just going to, and again, I figured this out pretty quick with a crayon, that this was an unfunded mandate. But the issue is you still have to get farther down to document it when you go to court and put it in front of someone. That's my concern, is that we don't leave it up to the judge to figure that out. We give her the history of what it does to us in our town, and that's my concern.
Well, it goes without saying that when you file a lawsuit, you have to present evidence. So, of course, it'll be the judge that makes the decision, because that's the way court works.
But you got to have the evidence.
And we have to present evidence to make our case.
Which is your impact study.
That goes without saying. We don't need to do an impact study first. The unfunded mandate law presents these as two different things you can do. You can do this kind of an audit, and you could seek a determination from the state agency, or you can file a lawsuit, and we have already filed the lawsuit.
Okay, so the only question is, what's your backup for that, right? You file a lawsuit to determine whether it's an unfunded mandate, but what is the difference between our town and Boston? I mean, what does she know about our water systems or anything else here?
Well, first of all, the lawsuit is about Halifax.
Yeah.
The facts will be about Halifax. And the second thing is that the determination that the state auditor made that some towns like Rentham, the law was and the MBTA Communities Act was an unfunded mandate for them. It was determined on very broad grounds. It didn't really it didn't really focus on specifics about those towns. It talked more about the law generally, because the legislature didn't fund the law when they passed it in the same session, which is a requirement of the unfunded mandate law.
But when you fund a law, right, you got to know what you're funding.
When they passed the MBTA Communities Act, they were supposed to fund the law under the unfunded mandate law, and they didn't do it. And that was the basis of the auditor's findings.
I agree with it. The only issue that I had was, if you're a finance committee or anyone else, you walk in there and you don't have your backup data with you, right, then you're going to have a problem. It says, well, Halifax, we only can hook up 5 more services and then we're done. We can't do 750 homes. How do they know that, right? How does the judge know this?
Well, all I can say is that we certainly will be presenting evidence in the case.
So you come back for that information from the town when you go to the judge, showing us the impact on our town. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's generally correct.
In that case, all right.
Debbie, your name and address, please.
Deb Winowitz, 60 Sycamore Drive. I think the issue here is not whether or not the impact study is a good idea. I think the issue is that we're being asked to vote on an article that does not have an amount and it does not have a funding source. I would suggest that the petitioner of this article do his due diligence and come back next year with that information or at a future town meeting. The town has worked hard to bring in a budget that is balanced. And we're being asked to vote on something that we don't even know what it's going to cost us. I don't think that should be done, and I think it's unfair to suggest that it's put on to the Finance Committee, an enormous task to volunteers. I think the petitioner needs to do due diligence.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'd like to amend the article.
He's on up before you.
Dan.
Yeah, how you doing?
Hi, I'm Bruce Pulliam, 691 Old Plymouth Street, and I do support this impact study, and I've been a Youth and Rec Commissioner for 20 years now. We've gotten some amazing things accomplished through this town in those years, and I love this town. I also have had members of the committee quit because we did a lot of work. We came to town meeting, and we weren't supported by people up there. I'd like to know why this impact study is not supported by the Finance Committee.
I think they answered that, but I'll ask Mr. Waters to...
They said they do not recommend,
Yeah,
so
and
why?
he stated, Mr. Waters.
As written, we don't recommend it because there is no funding source. I understand the idea.
Because there's no funding.
There's no funding source. To vote on this with no funding source is really kind of moot because there's no way to pay for it. We spent an hour and a half going through 140 line items of every dime that the town has. There is not money out there for this.
You're choosing, which is unfortunate because, as I said, we've had projects that we've done a lot of work, and we felt we did the work that should have been supported. And I really think that if we vote for an impact study, the town has to find a way to fund it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, one last thing on that. I'd like to see if we can amend the article to set aside $35,000 to have this study done.
Mr. Moderator, it has to be a funding source identified. We don't just have money, out there. So they would need to determine where the $35,000 would come from.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to, hi, Lauren Laws, 33 Highland Circle. I'd like to make a motion to end discussion and vote on this.
There's a motion on the floor to end discussion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's a motion and a second to end discussion. All those in favor of ending discussion, please raise your green card. All those against, please raise your red card. Passes to end the discussion. We're on Article number 25. Is there a motion to accept Article 25
Not from here.
as presented? Mr. Van Dornley, you're going to make a motion to accept your article? Yes. Do I have a second? There's a motion and a second to accept Article 25 as presented. All those in favor of Article 25, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Article 25 fails.
Article 6.
I move that the town, Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 6 as printed in the warrants.
Second.
This is an annual article that simply sets the spending limits for each of our revolving accounts for fiscal year 26. The amounts are unchanged from last year and do not include the new school accounts as they are not going to be utilized in fiscal year 26.
Okay, the Finance Committee recommendation.
Finance Committee recommends Article 6.
Mr. Pratt, would you like to speak to your motion?
You just did.
Or,
You just did.
You just did.
okay, I didn't know if you had anything additional. Okay, seeing no indication for discussion, all those in favor of Article 6, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Article 6 passes.
Article 22.
Article 22. Mr. Diaz.
Alan Diaz, Snow Street. I move to pass over Article 22.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to pass over Article 22. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passed over.
Article 27.
Your name and address, please.
Amy Troop, 10 Hillside Ave. Article 27. Mostly this is to inform the town about this, but it is to see if the town will vote to remove the town of Halifax from the Regional Health Board and SAFE Act and relinquish power from the CDC and all other non-elected officials and bureaucracy back to the elected Board of Health of the town of Halifax and their appointed Board of Health agent. Mostly, this article is to make sure that people are aware that we're in a district that includes Taunton, Bridgewater, and towns that aren't even really a comp town or like our towns. So therefore, I just wanted the town to be aware of the fact that we are in this and that it's a grant that was given a few years ago. We might not have the money to actually keep this going without funding it in the future, and therefore I wanted to make sure that people were aware of it, and I'm going to move to pass over the SAFE Act Removal Act.
Mr. Moderator, you're going to get the Finance Committee.
Pass over.
Oh, she wants to pass over. Oh.
I'll second the
So
pass over.
there's a motion on the floor to pass over, and there's a second.
Yes.
Article 27. All those in favor of passing over Article 27, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Article 27 passes to pass over.
Article 17.
That's me. Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer for an undesignated fund balance the sum of $3,500 to support the South Shore Resource and Advocacy Center for domestic violence intervention and prevention services for the residents of Halifax.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for Article 27. Do I have the Finance Committee?
17, Bert.
What did I say?
27.
Article 17. Finance Committee's recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends Article 17.
Mr. Seelig, would you like to speak
Yeah,
to your
just a
motion?
little bit of background. This is a nonprofit, and it helps survivors of domestic abuse. So far, 65 Halifax residents have been assisted this fiscal year for a total of 564 hours of service to our Halifax residents. I think it's a great cause.
No discussion. All those in favor of Article 17 as presented, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes unanimous.
Article 26.
Mr. Moderator, I have documentation here on change of how I was presenting this, and I'd like to hand it to you and the selectmen, please. Maybe one to the, I have,
What is it again, Amy?
Thank you.
Yes. Here, you can have. Okay, would you like to speak to your article, please?
proposed temporary building permit moratorium for water supply planning. My motion is I move to impose a temporary restriction on the issuance of building permits for new dwelling units in the town of Halifax, including but not limited to accessory dwelling units, single-family homes, duplexes, two-family homes, multifamily developments, senior housing units, over 55 housing units, and any other residential projects requiring connection to the town's water supply. This restriction shall take effect upon passage at this town meeting and shall remain in place for no more than 2 years or until the following conditions are met, whichever occurs first. 1, purpose and justification. This moratorium is enacted to provide the town of Halifax with the necessary time to assess and improve its public water supply system, which is currently impacted by ongoing water bans, water quality concerns, and capacity limitations that threaten public health, safety, and welfare. The purpose of this moratorium is to ensure that 1, the water system can support existing and future residents without compromising public health or property values. 2, the town has adequate time to develop a comprehensive plan for long-term water supply sustainability and aquifer protection. 2, planning requirements. The Board of Selectmen shall be responsible for preparing and presenting the following to a future town meeting for approval. 1, a new master plan, a comprehensive assessment of current and projected water demand, infrastructure capacity analysis, long-term water quality management strategies, recommendations for sustainable growth and resource protection, including specific measures for aquifer protection to preserve the quality and availability of the town's drinking water supplies, identification of critical recharge areas and strategies to reduce contamination risks, integration of water conservation measures to reduce overall demand, water improvement plan, identification of specific deficiencies in the current water supply and distribution system, a clear timeline and budget for addressing these deficiencies, benchmarks for improving water quality and reducing the need for annual water bans, a comprehensive list of methods to reduce iron and manganese levels in the well water and prevent the buildup of these minerals within the existing water infrastructure. Solutions to eliminate the need for residents to flush lines at their own expense as a means of temporarily addressing brown water and mineral buildup. Abatement requirement. The plan must clearly state that residents and businesses shall not be charged for the water used to flush their connections where the buildup is the result of deficiencies in the town's water supply and infrastructure. If the Board of Water Commissioners fails to create or amend their processes to provide abatements for such flushing, the Board of Selectmen shall be authorized to issue water abatements to affected customers. A strategy for meeting future demand without negatively impacting existing residents. 3, exception for essential projects. The Board of Selectmen, upon recommendation from the Board of Health, may grant an exception to this moratorium if a proposed project is deemed essential to public health, safety, or welfare. Any such exceptions must be supported by clear findings that the project is necessary and cannot reasonably be delayed until the expiration of the moratorium. 4, sunset provision. If the town Manning fails to approve both the new master plan and water improvement plan within the 2-year period, this moratorium shall automatically expire and residents must submit a new petition article to reinstate it. 5, periodic review and reporting. The Board of Selectmen shall provide a written report at each subsequent town meeting during the moratorium detailing progress made toward developing and implementing the required plans. This report shall include updates on funding project, milestones, aquifer protection efforts, iron and manganese mitigation measures, and public outreach initiatives. 6, effective date and scope. This moratorium shall take effect immediately upon passage and shall apply to all new building permit applications for dwelling units requiring town water connections, including those currently under review but not yet approved. Legal and procedural consistency. This moratorium is intended to comply with the requirements of GLC 40A and relevant Massachusetts case law, including Zuckerman versus Town of Hadley, which permits temporary development restrictions when necessary to address specific infrastructure concerns and promote the general welfare. To speak to why, in Situate, they overbuilt and they buy water from Cohasset and Situate. Pembroke has gone through a rezoning where they have cluster housing and lots of building going on. Kingston, the same thing. Our water bans keep getting longer and longer. And over the past year and a half, which is clear and stated by what we went over earlier with the water superintendent, we have issues that are arising in our water from iron and manganese. It is visual in our plumbing, and that means it's also visual in our bodies, where our veins and everything that carries air and blood through our system is being affected by the extreme levels of iron and manganese, even if you don't drink it, because you're taking a shower and that will get into your bloodstream within 29 seconds.
Thank you. Finance Committee's recommendation.
Finance Committee does not recommend Article 26.
Board of Selectmen, do you have a recommendation?
We haven't taken it up, although we would like to hear from the Water Department if they have an opinion on it.
Mr. Clark.
Oh, Mr. Clark?
Richard Clark, I'm the chairman of the Water Department. I've been with the Water Department for 40 years. I know 40 years is not that long, but I've never heard so much crap in my life. Are we supposed to answer that? I didn't even know half the stuff that she said. I don't think this whole thing is even fair. She didn't come to us. We have a $3 million project going on right now to address what I can remember what she said. We have 2 plants. We have a treatment plant and a filtration plant. We shut them down a while ago to upgrade them, to get them up to speed. When we shut down, we had to bring in Brockton's water for a while. The treatment plant is back online. When that went back online, we went off of Brockton. The filtration plant from what I was told by the superintendent this morning, is within days to getting back online. We have a few things to tweak on it, but it should be hopefully this week back online. When that gets back online, the superintendent is going to schedule some flushing in the areas of town that have had some dirty water during this time. This fall, we'll do a complete flushing, and which should eliminate all of these problems. The problem, we had one dirty water call over the weekend. This is, to pull something like this on now, I think is very unfair. We can't answer those questions. I can remember half the stuff that she said. If you pass this, that means that this summer, if all of you people that are on a well, if your well dies, we can't help you. You can't come, and it happens every year. It is true. Don't tell me it's not true. I've been with this department for 40 years. How long have you been there? Well, I'm tired of this crap. You pass it, we can't help you. We can't help residents that if their well dies, they can't come to us. The selectmen have nothing to do with us. We're an enterprise account. This is run by the Board of Commissioners. You could ask town council if I'm not right. They don't have any say over what we do. The water ban is mandated by DEP, May 1st. That's not our choice. A few years ago, we had this department in the top 2% in the entire state. And I'm sure Mr. Bruno remembers that, because you were the selectman then. Our goal is to get back there again. And if we don't do what DEP tells us to do, we can't do it. We have to do everything they say. Water bans mandated. We'll get this, we know there's been some issues, we expected them. You can't go on Brockton Water and reverse the water coming in a different way without expecting some problems. But we're dealing with it, and we're days away from getting it fixed.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry, she was first. I'm sorry, yes. Your
Hi,
name and address, please.
Karina Burston, 117 Fuller Street. I'm wondering, a lot of these issues that are coming up, including water quality and zoning, would be addressed by a community master plan, and I'm wondering if we have one, a current one in the works, because I know that the last one that I looked for was relatively outdated, so I'm wondering if that's something on the...
Let's see if I can find that out.
Yes, Mr. Moderator. So under Massachusetts general law, technically the planning board is responsible for updating the master plan. Our master plan is not up to date, but we have sought funding. We are unable to get some of the grants that are out there due to our lack of compliance with MBTA zoning. I did have a recent conversation with Representative Lenatra, and she was able to include some funding in the state budget for fiscal 26 for the town to do a master plan. So hopefully that stays on through the final approval process of the state budget, and if it does, the town will be able to begin updating its master plan.
And can you tell me, would that address some of these water quality issues and some of the zoning issues having to do with the MBTA?
Those certainly would be parts of a master plan.
Thank you.
They would look at those issues.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Your name and address, please.
Yeah, so I'm Rod Hemingway, 20 Ridge Road. I just want to say the proposal is onerous and restrictive for us doing what we want on our property. If we want to put in an in-law apartment because our elderly family member or friend needs a place to stay and they can't afford to, and we can put a place on our property, we can. We can't with this restriction. I've never heard so many onerous restrictions on property owners as proposed tonight. Families with essential needs trying to keep their entire family unit together on the same property, the opportunity to do that in this moratorium would restrict that, including people who have things in process now, who spent thousands of dollars on surveys, on getting a contractor. All of that would stop, and too bad. This is ridiculous. I urge us to vote no, because we should be able to do what we want on our property, keeping our families together, have an opportunity to grow in our community. I've lived here for 11 years. I want to live here for another 40 years. And I want my family to. I want my special needs son, if he ever needs to not be too far away from mom and dad. This gives me an opportunity to perhaps have a place for him to experience some independence, but still have mom and dad nearby. If we restrict that opportunity, that collapses that opportunity for my son in the future. I urge us to vote no on this article.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Your name and address, please.
Deb Winowitz, 60 Sycamore. Mr. Moderator, could you tell me what we're actually voting on? Are we voting on this 2-inch article, or are we voting on what was read? Was that some sort of an amendment without a motion? And I was always under the impression, and I could be wrong, but if it's an amendment, that it cannot change an article to that drastic of an extent. I don't know what we're voting on.
All we can vote on is what was presented in the warrant.
Mr. Moderator, just to follow up on the previous speaker's question, was there actually an amendment to the article?
I heard no amendment.
So the article that is on the floor is what is printed in the warrant?
Correct. Okay, seeing no indication of further discussion, all those in favor of article number 26, please raise your green card. All those opposed to article 26, please raise your red card. Article 26 fails.
Article 14.
Oh, okay. Mr. Moderator?
Yes, sir.
I move that the town vote to approve Article 14 as printed in the warrant.
Second, sorry, I'm here. Second.
Thank you.
I have a motion in a second.
Do you like my explanation?
Yes, please.
Thank you. So this article makes 3 updates to our town meeting bylaw. The first update under 47-1 references the location. We almost ran into a problem in December when we had such a large crowd for a town meeting that we may not have been able to hold. That's any town meeting, because we just didn't have a facility big enough. What this article does is allows the Board of Selectmen to determine that a location outside of Halifax, due to capacity requirements, we should move to a different location. The second change is essentially a semantics change, and it's 4714. It references the executive administrator. We don't really have an executive administrator, we have a town administrator. So we're just changing that word to town administrator, and this section allows the town administrator, as well as any other department head not a resident of the town, to address town meeting and respond to questions without obtaining approval to speak by town meeting vote. As you've seen, we've been doing that all night long. And the third thing is section 47-19, which our bylaws for town meeting go back quite a ways. Originally, the bylaws had a reference to Robert's Rules of Order as the control for procedural questions. In 1960, the Mass Moderators Association came together and produced a handbook. Let me see that for a second. Called Town Meeting Time. It's equally available to everybody. What town meeting time is Robert's Rules of Order specific to New England town meetings. It goes through not only Massachusetts, but Rhode Island, Connecticut, talks about all of that. We've never used Robert's Rules of Order in my experience at town meeting, and that's almost 40 years now. What we have done when we've had a question on such things as what's the proper vote for something, does it need a second, can you amend after an amendment's already been made, we reference town meeting time, which has a whole list of that information. So to clean up our bylaw, we should adopt the town meeting time as our standard for questions. Again, it's something we've been doing for at least the last 40 years and probably longer.
Thank you, sir. Finance Committee recommendations.
Finance Committee recommends Article 14.
Any discussion? Yes. Your name and address, please.
Yeah. This is Allison Long, 186 Monpont Street. One question I have, because I've noticed it tonight several times, when people asked to stop the debate and get right down to the question.
So
this in the past here was something that required a 2/3 vote because we are taking away the right to speak. And only if 2/3 of the people here are agreed on that, do we then we vote, and then we can move to the basic article. I think just having a show of of green and red isn't the same as being able to judge whether there are actually 2/3 of the people who, I mean, and there's never any reference to there being 2/3. I mean, I have my back to people and you don't. So it is possible that you see such a sea of green or such a sea of red that you can realistically judge.
Let me double check on that.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really, that's not really being addressed by this bylaw, whether we use red or green cards. If you recall, up until the pandemic, I think, it was a voice vote first. At moderator's discretion, he could determine there was a majority. He could even determine there was a 2/3 majority. Upon challenge by 6 residents, we would do, then it would request a standing count or an individual count. So the red and green cards, that doesn't have anything to do with this. They're not mentioned in town meeting time or Robert's Rules of Order. That's just a method that this town has adopted to make it easier for the moderator to make his judgments. That's all.
They're useful. I'm not saying that. It's just the one particular question of shutting down conversation is, and questions and comments, seems to me that gets directly at our democracy. And so that's what I was concerned about.
Okay, so that is covered in town meeting time. There is a section on what they call the previous question. That's technically the way to do it. It's a standard part of parliamentary procedure. Town meeting time doesn't really change that. It just kind of puts it in the context of town meeting. So again, this bylaw doesn't address that one specific issue, but town meeting time does give us an outline of how the parliamentary procedure ought to work in town meetings.
Thank you. Mrs. Favor, your name
Karen
and address,
Fava,
please.
66 Clydo Bosworth Road. The only question I have is in regards to the 47-19 rules of practice. So tonight it's been used quite a few times where people have gotten up and asked for, call the vote, right? Let's end discussion, let's call for the vote. I want to confirm that the times does not take away from that we still have the right to be able to call for a vote, because Robert's rules is specific on that, and I'm not sure on the other, because we don't have those rules. And what other rules are changing by us adopting this?
The question is, can we still call for a vote? Call the question, in other words? Is that what your concern is?
That's one of the questions.
It's right on the index here. Underneath, let's see here. Underneath lay on the table and above limit or extend debate, the previous question. It's rank 7. I mean, it gives you the whole thing. So we're not changing any of that. All we're doing is saying that instead of going to Robert's Rules, and Robert's Rules is what the Congress uses and what parliaments use across the world. It really doesn't, it doesn't really fit with what we do. We're different kind of organization. We have open town meeting, people can talk, make amendments and all that kind of stuff. This book, which is used by most communities that hold a town meeting as opposed to a city or something like that, it's just more tailored to it, but it doesn't change anything like that at all.
Okay, so is there reconsider a vote? Is that impacted by this rule?
A motion to reconsider?
Yeah.
Yeah, this bylaw change doesn't address that. In our bylaw, our town meeting bylaw, there is a section that talks about reconsideration, and that's not changing.
Okay, so is there anything that's would impact the town that we should know about right now on this 47-19 that would impact us as voters? That would be the question.
I can tell you that for 40 years, I've had a copy of this book myself, and town council has it, the moderator has it. This is the book we always look to. It's easy to find questions, answers. Again, it's something that's been done. That's what we've been doing. So nothing really changes in that regard. It's just that it eliminates any question that there could be a conflict with Robert's Rules of Order, for example, which again that's meant for Congress, that's meant for much bigger parliamentary governments and so on and so forth.
Yes, ma'am. Your name and address.
Kathleen Berry, 34 Highland Circle. I have a concern about 47-1 in regards to changing the location. It's mentioned that it would be due to capacity concerns. At what point during a town meeting would we determine that we have maxed out our capacity, and how are we smoothly transitioning to a new location?
So I think I'm correct on this. State law says we have to hold it in town.
Correct.
Unless we change the bylaw. Yeah. So state law requires town meeting to be held in town. That's the law. Unless we address that by bylaw. So all this is doing is giving the town the option. If you take last December, for example, we had a big crowd. I don't know how close we came to the fire chief telling us we were full, which then would people have not gotten a chance to participate. So if we know, I think the way to work, if the clerk, the town administrator, the board of selectmen, the police chief, fire chief, whoever has indication that there will likely be a very big crowd, that's when they'll make that decision. So it shouldn't happen.
So prior to town meeting, even starting.
Oh yeah, before it starts. Yeah, we can't do it halfway through.
And should we ever have the need to have this town meeting outside of the town lines, will we provide transportation for those that have a difficulty getting outside of town lines?
Good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, just like we offer transportation to tonight, and we've been offering the past few town meetings, we offer transportation if needed.
So we have that budgeted then?
It comes out of the COA budget for the van drivers and the vans, yes.
Joanne Harris, E1 Leiden Lane. I just want to say that the reason I wasn't here in December was because I came and there was absolutely no parking any place anywhere near the building. And I'm sure there were probably others, so I turned around and I went home. So I think we should pass this.
Thank you.
Whatever.
Amy, your name and address, please.
Amy Troop, 10 Hillside Ave. I'm not so against the 47-1. And I don't know whether or not I'd be against 47-19 or not, but I did try to go on town meeting times and different things like that, but you need to have a password. And then I've been asking since April 9th by email to get the rules, and I still haven't. The last communication I have is it's in the warrant, the most recent version of the town meeting time. So the concern is that what are the rules? And we're asking all these questions, so it's like a blind jump into what's going to happen from here. So I would like to keep that considerably the same since we can't read the rules that we're going to be now attesting to. So that's of concern. I mean, if we can't write them down or send us what the rules are in over a month, then that's kind of a concern.
Well, even tonight, I can answer that. Even tonight, I'm still going by the third edition town meeting times. I understand they're in production for a version number 4. I haven't got one yet either, so I'm right with you. We're still waiting. Other people, in town have connections, I guess, and can get them.
But that's dangerous
But
for
I
us.
don't have it yet either. So, but all it is an updated version, and I think most of us here at the table are still on. Like you said, for the last 40, 50 years, we've been with town meeting times. We haven't been without them. This is what we use, and this is what we've been using.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
The bylaw as presently written says Robert's Rules of Order. So if you can't get a copy of Robert's Rules of Order, you're in the same position. All we're saying here is that we take the parliamentary procedure that the Mass Moderators Association, which is comprised of almost all the moderators in the state, have done, and it makes it fit with town meeting as opposed to the British Parliament or Congress or anything like that. This is specific to town meeting. It's not going to change anything we've been doing because that's what we've been using. So.
Okay, seeing no indication of further discussion, I have a motion and a second for Article 14. All those in favor of Article 14, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes.
Article 23.
I can start talking now, right?
Sure.
So I'm Kimberly
Your-
Sturge.
Your name and address, please.
Kimberly Sturge, 334 Thompson Street. So I move to amend the proposed article by substituting the following language. I move that the town vote to amend Section 167-7C of the Halifax zoning bylaws, Table of Use Regulations, by modifying the designation for body art establishment to allow it as a permitted use in the business zoning district. Specifically, to change the current designation in the business zone from no prohibited use to yes permitted use.
Mr. Moderator, before we go any further, could you give me do you have a copy of that for me? Is that your final copy? Do you have any more?
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to amend Article 23 as was presented.
Mr. Moderator, I have a point of order.
Yes, sir.
So what is in the warrant is significantly different than what the mover or the previous speaker made. And so my question would be, because this is a zoning bylaw change, it would have to have gone to the planning board at their public hearing. And so the question would be, was this, were this issues discussed at the public hearing? If there weren't, then I don't think it's properly before the body.
I'll ask the Vice Chair of the Planning Board, if Mr. Milius, do you know if, or could you expound and give us details if the amendment was the one that was discussed at the public hearing and voted on by the Planning Board members?
I would actually have to go back.
I'm sorry?
I would have to go back and look at the tapes because I don't recall specifically.
Well,
I know the planning board was in favor of what we had in front of us.
Copy of.
Did they discuss this language? That's the question. I don't know.
Well, there's a difference between the public hearing and that's what we're trying to determine.
It's not even what they voted on. It's
With the citizens petition,
But
it
does
was
it,
attached.
does it need the actual?
This is.
You can't just use this as
specific changes. That's what we've been saying all along. I mean, this doesn't do anything. So if they didn't discuss it, then if they did, then they can put it in the works.
What people say. Yes, they consider that.
Stand up.
Amy, can Rich look at that?
If we can just stand by for a couple minutes, we're trying to sort the legalities out. Just give us a couple minutes, we'll be right with you.
Right. No, Brandon wasn't there.
I don't know. You see that? What was that movie? Bronx Tale? I just can't leave. I use that line all the time.
Tooth burn.
All right. Okay, if everyone could take a seat, please. We kind of figured it out. Mr. Milius.
Mr. Moderator, the Planning Board, with 4 of 5 members present at the hearing, voted 3 affirmative and 1 negative. So the board recommends.
Okay, thank you, sir. To let everybody know, Town Council has reviewed the scope of what was presented tonight as to what the Planning Board held on their public hearing, and what the Planning Board voted on is within the scope of what was presented tonight. So we can go ahead with this.
Mr. Moderator, one other point of order. Being a zoning change, this is a 2/3 vote.
Yes, a 2/3 vote is required on a voting change. Okay, seeing no other comment, a motion and a second to accept Article 23. Can I say as amended?
Yeah, as amended.
Or as presented?
They voted the amendment?
Did you vote on the amendment?
Her motion from the floor was not the article that's written in the warrant. She made a different motion, so I think the motion that's on the floor is what she said.
Right.
It's not an amendment, that's her motion.
All right, we'll do that. We'll, I'll accept the motion.
Bert, can you reread it, just so everyone knows what they're voting on?
Sure.
Do you want me to read it?
Done this like months ago.
All right, so what we're voting on is what was read. So the motion that was read. And she said, I move to amend the proposed article by substituting the following language. I move that the town vote to amend section 167-7C of the Halifax zoning bylaws, table of use regulations, by modifying the designation for body art establishment to allow it as a permitted use in the business zoning district, specifically to change the current designation in the business zone from N prohibited use to Y permitted use. That's what you're voting on.
Just so everybody knows, the planning board did vote and recommend. If that's correct, Mr. Milius? Okay, thank you. So there's a motion on the floor to amend the article number 23 as read. Do I have a second? So motion and a second to amend Article 23 as presented tonight. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Article 23 passes as amended. Now we're going to vote on the actual Article 23. How am I doing? Is this good?
No, you just voted on the warrant.
We're good.
You voted good. You're good, because she made the motion, so you're good. It passed.
Yeah.
2/3.
We're good.
We're good. It passes.
Article
23
18.
passes as presented.
18.
I thought we had to read it.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer from undesignated fund balance the sum of $150 for the use of the trustees for County Cooperative Extension Service and authorize the selectmen to appoint a town director within 15 days as provided in revised Chapter 128, Section 41 of Massachusetts General Laws.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for Article 18. Mr. Tom, would you like to speak to this?
Yeah, this is a pretty simple one. This article just allows the town to participate in the 4/8 Youth and Family Development Program as we have for years.
Thank you, sir. Finance Committee recommendation.
Finance Committee recommends.
Okay, any discussion? Nope. All those in favor of Article 18, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes unanimous.
Article 28.
All right, would you like to speak to your motion, please?
Amy Troop, 10 Hillside Ave. I make a motion that I move the town of Halifax rescind the vote taken under Article 49 of the May 12, 2014 annual town meeting, which enacted Chapter 148 of the Town Halifax General Bylaws, entitled Stretch Energy Code, for the purpose of regulating the design and construction of buildings for the effective use of energy as adopted pursuant to Appendix 115 AA of the Massachusetts Building Code 780 CMR, including all future additions, amendments, or modifications hereto. Do you have a second? Okay. The reason that I have this on here is, again, to make sure that the town is aware of what the stretch code is. I did, when we went over the warrant at a selectmen's meeting, I was surprised that, not an offense thing, but just that you guys weren't aware of what stretch code is. But out in the real estate world, what it means is, I don't know if anybody has ever seen or heard the fact that a gas stove could be removed from your house. But the reason that this is something that I want everybody to be aware of is because it can happen. If you have, say, a tree or something fall in your house and you have to do a major reconstruction, you'll now, over a certain percentage of the house being renovated, need to take out your gas heating, your oil heating, or a gas stove that you might cook with, and it's happening all over the South Shore on a regular basis. It also, so it sounds great to have an energy efficient home, but a lot of the things like adding insulation around your doors and windows because a HERS test is too high, which is an energy audit that's put on the front of your door, they'll actually make you re-insulate around your windows and doors. However, they'll have you install an electrical fan that is really not green. So now you're recirculating using electricity instead of a natural ventilation. There are a lot of different parts of it. It's a struggle for the real estate world, and also we're starting like a brand new house build as of July 1st, 2024, makes it so that everything is now electric. And that's an issue in my eyes. So mostly, again, this is an article to make sure that the town is aware of where these different laws are coming from, and I hope you can rescind it.
Again, I think we're back at the same question. Is this considered an amendment to what was presented or is it just expounding on it? Explaining?
This is 28.
Correct. That's an amendment to your original article, correct? How I read it. Yes, she wants to vote on it as she read it, not.
Oh, no, it's not an amendment.
It was motioned and seconded.
Technically, it's not an amendment.
It's
She
just her motion.
made a motion and she just changed the language. So it's not an amendment.
It's her
That was her
So
motion.
what we're voting on is not,
Yes, you're voting on what she read, her motion.
because that's not what's in the law.
Correct.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. And just to make it clear, you made the motion.
Get close.
I didn't ask for who gave the second? Who gave the second? Okay, thank you. All right, we have Article 28 on the floor as presented. Did I ask for the Finance Committee's recommendation?
Finance Committee does not recommend Article 28.
The Board of Selectmen, did they have a recommendation?
We do not. We haven't taken this up.
Okay, Article 28. All those in favor of Article 28, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. I don't have a two-thirds.
It's not two-thirds.
It's not a
It's not two-thirds. No, this isn't a zoning.
No.
It fails by majority.
Article 13.
This should have been done a long time ago.
Okay, Article 13 is being proposed by the Finance Committee. Mr. Walters, do you want to
Sure.
speak to this, please?
Article 13, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $689,000 from free cash and $500,000 from the Water Enterprise retained earnings for the purpose of funding the fiscal year 2026 capital plan as printed in Article 13 of the warrant.
Second.
Okay, this was proposed by the Capital Planning Committee. Do I have a Finance Committee recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends.
Board of Selectmen, do we have,
We presented it also, so we do recommend it.
we do recommend?
Yes.
Okay, would you like to speak to that, Mr. Walters?
Sorry.
Before the bugs get you.
Funding of the fiscal year 2026 capital plan, to see if the town will vote to fund the recommendation of the Capital Planning Committee for the fiscal year of 2026. $689,000 from free cash, $500,000 from the water retained earnings. Do you want me to read everything in here, sir? Sure. Assessing Department, cyclical inspection, $94,000. Fire Department, turnout gear, $50,000. Rescue tools, $70,000 for a total of $120,000. Police Department, firearms replacement, $15,000. 1 police vehicle, $60,000 for a total of $75,000. Library facilities, library window replacement, additional funds of $20,000. Highway Department, road maintenance, $300,000. Stormwater management, $80,000 for a total of $380,000. Water Department, payment toward the treatment plant upgrades, $500,000 from the retained earnings of the water fund.
Okay, I'm going to ask where each line was read individually. Is there a hold, or does anybody have any questions, comments regarding any of those lines that appear on Article 13 in the warrant? Yes, sir.
Jeff Bolger, Brandeis Circle. Now, the free cash that's basically the town's emergency fund. If something happens during the year, that we can draw on that. Is that correct?
No, Mr.
Let me
Moderator.
find out.
That is not correct. Free cash is essentially surplus revenue from the prior year. So the funds that you're speaking of is the reserve fund, which has not been taken up yet in this if an emergency comes up, but that's a separate article. This is just essentially surplus revenue from the prior year.
Okay, so all right.
Any other questions, comments? Seeing no indication, we have a motion and a second for Article 13. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Article 13 passes.
Article 20.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
I move to pass over Article 20.
Third.
There's a motion and a second to pass over Article 20. Would you like to speak to that, please?
I do. The Zoning Bylaw Review Committee is a committee advisory to the Board of Selectmen, started before any of us were back on the board in 2013. It was recognized at the time that the zoning bylaws did need to be reviewed, upgraded, organized in a little bit better fashion. The committee laid pretty dormant up until 2023, at which time it was reconfigured, and since then has been working on redoing the bylaw, not necessarily changing it to any great degree, but to make it easier to read, more organized. There were a few extra provisions that were included also. The Zoning Bylaw Review Committee thought they had a pretty comprehensive change to the zoning bylaw. We did hold a public hearing where we were given certain comments. The Planning Board, I understand, has also indicated that they will not recommend it. They haven't told us why, but if we are to get a zoning bylaw that's more current, up-to-date, and modern, it would be the best way to do it would be to do it cooperatively as much as we can. So we call on the Planning Board to tell us what their objections may have been. We did have some public comments from some of the folks that are actually in the meeting here tonight. So that's why we want to pass it over. It's just something that we think we should tweak before it's brought up again.
I'll ask Mr. Milius from the Planning Board. Can you add a little detail to that, please? The Vice Chairman of the Planning Board.
Sure, Mr. Moderator. We didn't go into a tremendous amount of detail, but we thought that there was a tremendous amount of changes. We had some issues with some things that didn't get covered. We had hoped that the multifamily bylaw would have been addressed a little more fully. That didn't really seem to happen. And we also had some concerns about penalties for blighted properties, and in particular the enforcement section of it and the fining of it, which tended to look to us, if I may speak for the whole board on this particular item, a little subjective and difficult to enforce, and we thought the whole thing needed some more work.
Okay, thank you, sir. Seeing no indication of any discussion, we have a motion and a second on the floor to pass over Article 20. All those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Unanimous.
Article 5.
Article 5, proposed by the Finance Committee. Mr. Walters?
Sure.
Would you like to speak to your article?
Article 5, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $100,000 to the reserve fund to cover extraordinary or unforeseen expenditures during the fiscal year 2026, in accordance with Chapter 40, Section 6 of the Massachusetts General Laws, and to transfer from the available funds the sum of $50,000 to the Water Department Reserve Fund, or take any other action relative thereto.
And the recommendation from the Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends.
Bless you.
Okay. All right. So with that, I make this motion I move the town raise to vote and appropriate the sum of $100,000 to the reserve fund to cover extraordinary or unforeseen expenditures during the fiscal year of 2026 in accordance with Chapter 40, Section 6 of the Mass General Laws, to transfer water retained earnings from water retained earnings the sum of $50,000 to the Water Department Reserve Fund.
Okay, do I have a motion for Article 5?
That was the motion.
That was the motion.
That was the motion.
Second.
Motion
I'll second
and a
that,
second.
Bert.
Okay. Seeing no indication of discussion, all those in favor of Article 5 as presented, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes.
Article 18.
What was it?
Sorry, 18.
18?
18. Mr. Moderator.
Did we do 18?
Oh, what did I do? I put it back in the thing.
Yeah.
We did 18.
I was wondering why it was coming up again.
We're going to do it again.
Article 16.
Article 16.
18.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer from undesignated fund balance the sum of $4,286.92 for a fiscal year 2024 invoice for homeless transportation provided in May 2024.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
Article 16.
Article 16. Mr. Pratt, would you like to speak to that?
I believe the school administration is here to speak to that.
Nope.
Yes.
Oh, yes. So, superintendent, oh, she's there over there.
Sarah Hickey, 17 Highland Circle, Director of Finance and Operations for the Silver Lake Regional School District in Union 31. On March 11th of 2025, I received an invoice from a transportation vendor that was for services provided in May of 2024. The amount of the charge for this service that was provided was $4,286.92.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am, your name and address.
Yep. Sorry, it's Lori Costa Klein, 285 South Street. I just wanted to address the nature of this type of an article. There was some confusion, I think, amongst townsfolk about this being some sort of a way to pay for expenses from a previous fiscal year that we somehow didn't get approval for. This is a pretty standard article. It's kind of a housekeeping measure. A lot of times the school committee has to certify what we haven't spent on our budget at the end of the fiscal calendar year of June 30th, and if there are monies that were budgeted that we didn't use, that money gets turned back to the town. We don't have the money to pay for a bill that might come in late, which is exactly what happened here. The expenses were incurred in the fiscal year 25, but they didn't receive the bill until fiscal year 26. In order for the school to pay this, the town needs to vote those monies be made available to pay that bill. The reason I thought an explanation was necessary is in this time of trying to figure out budgets and cuts and you know, transparency. This is a very standard article that happens every year. We always get a bill that comes in, or very regularly get a bill that comes in after the fiscal year is closed and we don't have the cash available because we don't have the budget money for it. So I just wanted to kind of provide that explanation. Tonight seems to be a night about explaining civics and explaining lots of articles and the purposes for them. So I hoped that I would take a minute to just educate the town. There's no hanky-panky. This is transparency. We're not trying to get something in that wasn't covered last year. We're just paying a bill, and we need the town to vote to pay it. Thank you.
Thank you. Finance Committee recommendation.
Finance Committee recommends.
I understand because it's past
we made the-
finance, we need a 4/5 vote.
Correct. We put it forward, so.
Okay, unless there's any other discussion, all those in favor?
Bert? Bert, just one question of clarification. So it's a 4,200 and what?
$4,286.92.
And this is the only bill?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all those in favor of Article 16, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Definitely have 4/5, it passes.
Article 19.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes.
I move that the town of Halifax vote to approve Article 19 as printed in the warrant.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Article 15 as presented.
19.
Mr. Seelig, would you?
19.
What did I say? 19?
You didn't say 19.
It's Seelig, right?
Yes, so
Mr.
what this-
Seelig, would you like to speak to Article?
I will. I would love to. I'm excited for this one. This creates an anti-littering general bylaw for the town of Halifax. It was suggested by our town's beautification committee. As it goes through, it sets a $300 per violation fine. It is enforceable by our police and health agent for the town. Think it's great. Personally, I was on the cleanup crew a couple weeks ago and saw a lot of litter. So excited that this is getting presented. And I know our chair of the beautification committee, Ms. Shirley Graff, would like to speak to it. Shirley, you want to take the mic?
Your name and address, please.
Good evening. I'm Shirley Graff from 199 Oak Street. I'm currently chair of the Halifax Beautification Committee. The committee's current members are myself, Tina Palmer, Wendy Greco, and Cassie Doyle-Wadden. The following remarks I will make regarding Article 19, a proposed new bylaw aimed at litter control in Halifax, have been approved by the committee, which is a Town of Halifax all-volunteer appointed committee. I've been a more active litter buster since 2019, regularly picking up litter along 5 miles of roadway near where I live. Prior to that, for several years, I would participate in the litter cleanups organized by the Beautification Committee, as well as the Monpont Watershed Association. Tina Palmer, currently secretary of the committee, has a much longer association with the committee. When she was in high school in the 1970s, she participated in cleanups. For several years, the Beautification Committee has held biannual cleanups. The most recent one was May 3rd and 4th. Approximately 16 miles of roadway, as well as around the Hops Playground, the skate park, and Lingham Beach, were litter busted by 41 people collecting approximately 5 cubic yards of litter. The Beautification Committee is extremely grateful to these 41 people, of which 39 were residents of Halifax. The current population of Halifax is 7,746, so 39 residents participating equates to only 1/2 of 1% of the population, helping to keep our town litter-free. Many of these volunteers have participated for many years. Many feel disillusioned by the never-ending stream of litter along our roads and open spaces. Litter busting has safety issues like ticks and mosquito bites, bee and hornet stings, sunburn, and poison ivy. Litter is detrimental to the environment. Cigarettes, the #1 littered item, contain arsenic, lead, and nicotine, which can leach into our water and soil. The filter is made from a non-biodegradable plastic, taking up 5 to 10 years to degrade. Plastic bottles can take 450 years to degrade, and when they do, leach microplastics into the environment. 6-pack plastic rings, fishing line, balloon ribbons entangle wildlife. If this litter control bylaw is passed, the committee hopes to acquire signage that will be placed on roadways as you enter our town and our open spaces stating, "Keep Halifax clean, $300 fine for littering." Passing this bylaw will not solve the litter problem, but can be utilized as a measure to penalize a person responsible for littering. Please vote yes on Article 19.
Seeing no indication of further discussion, all those in favor of Article 19 as presented, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes. There you go.
Article 15.
For what? 15?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town of Halifax vote to transfer from undesignated fund balance the sum of $3,500 to support South Coastal Counties Legal Services Incorporated, continues free legal service in civil matters to our elders, our low-income families, and their children.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Finance Committee recommendation.
Finance Committee recommends.
Yes, sir. Mr. Seeley, would you
Yeah,
like to
this
speak
is,
to
we call this one the Troy Guerin article. Like the other one I presented, it's been near and dear to his heart for a long time. It helps bring free legal services to low-income families. It's a great article. I'm honored to speak to it. And I will tell you, from October 24 to March 25, legal services for 17 cases of Halifax residents have been provided by the South Coastal Counties Legal Services.
All those in favor of Article 15 as presented, please raise your green cards. All those opposed, please raise your red cards. Passes unanimous.
Article 4.
Here I go again. Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
I move that the town approve Article 4 as printed in the warrant.
Second.
I have a motion and a second regarding Article 4. Mr. Seelig, would you like to speak to your motion?
I will do my best. The article creates 3 new revolving funds for the town to utilize. Article 6 sets the annual spending limits. We already did that one on these accounts, as is done every year. It's important to note that this is essentially a bookkeeping approval, as it's a revolving fund. It does not cost the town and allows for money coming in for a specific purpose to be used only for that purpose. The park maintenance account was a request of the Parks Commission to utilize any revenue from parking passes to fund the maintenance and operations of our beach. The other 2 accounts were requests from HES School Committee. That's the motion I'm making here for Article 4.
Okay, Finance Committee recommendation.
Finance Committee recommends.
No comments. Yes. Please stand up and your name and address, please. Thank you.
Amy Troop, 10 Hillside Ave. I was just curious, so at the end of the year, let's just say there was $50,000 in one of these accounts, just as an example. Would that, if not spent, go to free cash, or would it remain in the account?
I'll find out.
It remains in the account, revolving funds.
Thank you.
Seeing no indication of further discussion, all those in favor of Article 4, raise your green card. All those opposed, raise your red card. Passes unanimous.
Article 12. 12.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 12 as printed in the warrant.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for Article 12. Mr. Pratt, Would you like to speak to this?
Actually, Cody will tell you.
Mr. Haddad.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So Article 12 does a few things here, and this has to do with the opioid settlement funds. Many of you may have heard. Yes, I'll get there. Yeah. Many of you may have heard the opioid settlement funds was through the Attorney General, who came to reach these settlements with several pharmaceutical companies. The state law previously required that any funds received had to go into the town's general fund and then had to be appropriated by town meeting, certified via free cash, and then gone into a stabilization fund. So in 2023, the town, Article 18, they created a special purpose stabilization fund for these opioid settlement funds. And then Article 17, the town transferred the $32,901.14 to the stabilization fund. This is really a bookkeeping article. What it does is the state law has since changed. It allows the money that directly comes to the town to go into this special revenue fund as referenced in the article. And so it rescinds the previously approved stabilization fund as it's no longer needed, and it moves the money from free cash that we received in fiscal 23 into that special revenue fund so the town can use the opioid funds for an approved use in the future. So really an accounting and cleanup article here that does a few different things.
Finance Committee recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends.
Seeing no indication, further discussion. All those in favor of Article 12, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Passes unanimous.
Article 29.
Amy Troop, 10 Hillside Ave. To see if the town of Halifax will vote to the following. Any changes to zoning bylaws will require a 2/3 vote of town meeting and a referendum on the annual town election ballot. Require that all zoning bylaw changes be made only at annual town meeting. There will not be any zoning bylaw changes or overlay change articles to be on a special town meeting warrant. I would like to amend this to reduce it, take out the referendum on the annual town election, but to just make it that any zoning bylaw changes would be done only at an annual town meeting to prevent special town meetings in December where we're having senior overlay districts and of the like passed between Thanksgiving and December. Motion to make it that way.
Amy, can you just clarify what that amendment is?
Yeah, I just wanted to take out the referendum part, the part that it says that it would go to a referendum and on a town election. So then it would just specifically read that we need a 2/3 vote for zoning bylaw changes, and that it would only be done at an annual town meeting.
Mr. Moderator, can I just clarify that one more time?
Of course.
So what we'll actually be voting on would be to see if the town of Halifax will vote to the following. Any changes to zoning bylaws will require a 2/3 vote of town meeting and require that all zoning bylaw changes be made only at the annual town meeting. There will not be any zoning bylaw changes or overlay change articles to be on a special town meeting warrant. Is that what you want to say?
Well, yeah, except for like the special town meeting, I mean, in like October or December that they pop up. Not really
If you're using the word special town meeting, they can be held at any time, so.
Okay, well, so then, yeah, no special town meeting.
Yeah, no special.
That's what I'm saying.
So exactly what I read then?
Yes.
Okay, yes, sir.
Did you get a second, Mr. Moderator?
Yeah, Karen.
We are so afraid of these things being changed that we're going to change the way we vote for things. We can't just have an one vote over. We have to have 2/3 for this special thing that Amy's all about. Making sure there's no nobody moves into Halifax? I don't agree
No,
with that.
it's already a two-thirds
I don't agree with it.
vote.
This would be a majority vote to pass.
It's already a two-thirds
Article
vote
29.
to change zoning bylaws, except for the MBTA one. But my point on this one is that when we have town meetings in the middle of December during a time where it's supposed to be specifically for, the holidays and, you're going to your kids' school plays and things, to have a special town meeting that you don't know about during such a crazy season, as an example, is just not really fair to the residents. So I'm making a point that if we're going to have a large senior overlay district that offers 102 apartments at 3.5 stories, as an example, come through in December, or such vote that in December with the MBTA vote, it's just a lot for us, for we residents. First of all, it costs the town a lot of money to hold one of these town meetings. So to do it in the middle of December while we're all trying to concentrate on life is just not really fair to us. And I believe that everybody works for the town of Halifax, so you should care about that for the people.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
So, first of all, I don't know that this is going to pass the Attorney General's inspection. Town council's looked at it. Secondly, it is defective insofar it doesn't reference any particular bylaw, so it just says bylaws. That means it's a nullity. It's not going to change the bylaw because it doesn't say we will. Third, in terms of when to hold a special town meeting, sometimes it has to be done at a special town meeting. Like, for example, years ago when we had budget issues, we would have a town meeting in May and another one in September. Sometimes we have to have town meetings towards the end of the year because we have deadlines, like we did with the MBTA zoning. And by the way, to say that no one will show up is ridiculous. There were 700 people here in December to vote on the MBTA. So to say that people can't make up their own mind to show up and vote good or bad is ridiculous. It doesn't make a single bit of sense. And finally, we keep hearing about this is America, we the people, all that kind of stuff. You want to take away from we the people the options that we have. You want to make it more restrictive instead of allowing the people to make their own decisions. So I think that none of this makes any sense to me, Joe.
Okay. Anybody else have any other comments, questions?
Well, I just want to say one thing. The MBTA one, yeah, we had 722 people show up, but we could have done that one earlier in the year. My vote is, my reason for putting this on here is to make a point that when we have, like, as an example, Thorndike come in August of 2023 and request a special town meeting in December of 2023, which, by the way, could have been done previous to December, but it was put that way. That was a sneak attack on the town that a lot of people didn't know about. And, it's funny, if you go around town now, they don't even know. They're like, oh my God, what happened? How did that happen? When did that happen? It's just not fair to add 102 apartments where we're gonna have to end up having a new fire truck, I'm sure.
We address that issue of a sneak attack?
I don't think there's an issue to address. No. There's nothing to address, I think.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, seeing no indication of further discussion, all those in favor of Article 29 as read by the petitioner, all those in favor, please raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Fails.
Article 30.
Mr. Moderator, I move to adjourn to a time certain, being Saturday, May 17th, 2025, at between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. to meet here at the Halifax Elementary School, and thereupon to take up Article 30, and afterwards to dissolve the town meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of Article 30, raise your green card. All those opposed, please raise your red card. Article 30 passes.
We are adjourned.
I'd like to officially adjourn the town meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
We did.
Just did. That was it. You're good.
We just did. That was what that motion was.
Town meeting.
All right,
Second.
good. Let's go, wrap it up.